This is a caucus of the Jersey City Municipal Council. Today is Monday, the 17th. Thank you, Siri. Siri told us. It's December 17, 2018 at 5:30 p.m. The time is 5:45 p.m. Present at roll call, Councilperson Ridley. Prinzeri.
Here.
Fagiano.
Left the judges home.
Solomon. Here. Robinson.
I can't remember what we talked about.
He's not here. I don't know if he's coming in, but he's not here
I
right
thought we...
We're reporting present when he arrives. Councilperson Rivera.
Yeah, I didn't invite them because I thought they had told me that we don't do that.
now. I thought you said, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, that's my fault.
President,
That's my fault. You want them to come to
sits
the
down
council
next to
meeting?
me. Council President, you're here. We have
I'm here.
7
I'm
members
sorry,
in
that's my fault.
attendance.
Yeah.
Could we have a moment of silence for Neil Gallagher, Cornelius Gallagher, Hudson County legend? Neil Carroll.
Neil Carroll.
Oh, Neil Carroll. Huh?
Neil Gallagher, but that was one of his best friends. I apologize. What a slip. Neil Gallagher was the class of Hudson County. Thank you very much, Neil Carroll. Rest in peace. Council President, take us away.
Okay, we'll start with our poet laureate, Rashad Wright. Would you like to come on up and? He'll be coming. Rashad will be coming back in the council meeting as well. But since you're here, we thought we'd get you in and out and give you the opportunity. Have a seat.
Okay, appreciate it. W-R-I-G-H-T.
Christine can do it. Christine,
Christine, you want to come up here and
introduce?
introduce Rashad to everybody? Let everyone know it's. I think everybody knows, but
Poet Laureate.
yes.
Happy to introduce Rashad Wright for the first Poet Laureate officially here in Jersey City. He is a graduate of New Jersey City University and has been very active in the poetry community, has competed nationally in the National Poetry Slam competition. He has led the Jersey City Slam team. He's very active in our educational communities and is a wonderful poet in his own right. So we're really glad to have him. Would you like to add some?
I mean, you seem to have the whole bio. Thanks for saying. My name is Rashad Wright, never been wrong. I'm a writer, performer in the Jersey City area. I would really love to have more of a hands-on approach with the position of a Jersey City Poet Laureate. So I'd like to be more involved in the classroom, reaching out to schools, high schools, coaching more programs after school, things like that, and also getting involved with a couple of the local-owned businesses and showing support to the arts in that way. But yeah, that's my immediate list of things I'd like to do or participate as far as Jersey City. Yep.
Awesome. Council members, any questions? So Rashad, go ahead.
Thank you.
We'll take an official vote on Wednesday and have an opportunity to speak to a larger audience there as well and on television again.
Okay.
And we're proud to have you as the first Poet Laureate for Jersey City.
Once again, I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you, Rashad.
Why don't we talk about the catroness of the statue so these people don't have to stay here?
Okay, because we're billing on the hour for the Port Authority from our dollars, city dollars, I'd like to take care of that so that we can save some money in the process, okay? I'm going to ask for Victor Afanador, and then we'll go right to the statue right after that. Victor Afanador and Bhavani Doshi. So folks, this is a second reading for 2 ordinances, right? Anything you'd like to add before we begin? And nothing's changed since the last first reading. If you have further questions, there was a memo that went out today. Councilman Solomon, you had inquired about the Journal Square properties and why they weren't included, and I just received it today, so I haven't had a chance to review that. You want to speak to that at all? A little bit?
I think the memo outlines the issue sufficiently.
Could I
can answer
your name
any
for
and
the
all.
record? I'm so sorry.
I apologize.
Your name for the record?
Victor Fanador from the law firm of Light, Palmer, Greenberg, counsel for the city of Jersey City. In the litigation 2:14-03286 venued in the District Court of New Jersey. I'm prepared to answer any questions. I think that the memo sufficiently outlines the issues that were posed to us that were filtered to the law department.
Okay, questions, council members?
I mean, I think you're available via email, because I haven't had a chance to fully read it.
Yeah, we haven't had a chance to, I literally got that about an hour ago.
Yeah, I would just ask if you could, if there are any questions for Victor or Bobby or for McManaman in Scotland, that you send them to me, and then I will make sure that we get them answered for you before the vote on Wednesday.
Okay, folks, if there's no questions, then email to Peter and,
I have an update, but not related to Victor Bob.
okay, do you want to share that now?
Sure, yeah.
Go ahead.
Just so council knows, on the, for the other part of the Port Authority settlement, not the pilot payments, but the land swap with the triangle, the two condominiums that are most impacted are A condos and Portofino, which are the abutting properties of the triangle. They had reached out to me with a series of concerns. I relay those concerns to folks in the administration as well as the Port Authority, and then actually Port Authority agreed to have a meeting. So we all met with a lot of the top folks at the Port Authority and the community groups on Friday, and I think walked out of there with a reasonable mutual understanding of what was happening. And the Port Authority made a series of commitments related to studying EMF, which are electromagnetic fields. They discussed, the community input on design of a potential new building over on the triangle. There was no sort of formal vote. The notes are going to be written post the meeting, but I think the summary I wanted to give to you is that they were very receptive to the community's concerns, and the community walked away feeling like they were being heard, and that their concerns will be addressed moving forward. I know obviously there's some leaps of faith there, but I think overall it's a very positive thing. So I just wanted to share that with you all.
Can you email us?
Yep, a summary.
Concerns?
Yep. Yeah, their Port Authority is working up the notes. They're supposed to get them today, but I'll send them out when they're there. So, thanks.
Great.
So what is your position with the Port Authority?
He's not with the Port Authority, he's an attorney that
The city,
the city retained in this.
To sue the Port Authority
where's the
on our
who's with the
behalf.
Port Authority?
What's that?
There's nobody here from the Port Authority?
No, just our attorneys. This is our settlement agreement, so
Yeah, I know.
they're recommending the settlement.
Yeah.
Did you want to speak to someone from the Port Authority?
I think we should have somebody here from the Port Authority, because all the complaints we're getting about Journal Square, the trains being packed, overpacked, and all they seem to care about is New York City. They don't give a damn about Jersey. And it's getting to be a horror show with the PATH trains.
Okay.
I think it's worth a separate discussion. We could do that.
Probably have to have a
I
separate
thought
meeting.
I thought he was with the Port Authority. And we've met, and they don't do nothing.
Yeah. Understood. Okay, if there are no further questions, thank you, Victor.
Thank you, Council President. Thank you, members of the
Thank you.
council.
Thank you.
Okay, Carmen, Vivian, and Steve. I'm sorry, you wanted to do the, I'm sorry, I apologize. Yeah, let's, so there,
There's a rumor going around that somebody's coming up with another ordinance on the Catron Massacre beside what the one we have here tonight.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
There's only one ordinance about Caton Massacre.
Then it's nothing going to be surprise on Wednesday, somebody's going to hand in, no? All right,
Conspiracy theorist is wrong.
all right. So all the rumors you're hearing and what you've spoken to me about is not true. There's no other ordinance coming up, and the other ordinance will be proposed on Wednesday night. All right? So, Barbara, if you want to go, there's no sense of hanging around if you don't want to.
So, everybody to discharge, go home. You don't have to.
Barbara, that's a rumor, Barbara, it's not true.
Okay.
okay,
All right.
great, let's bring up Carmen, Vivian, and Steve. Are they here? Okay. They have 10Z4 and 10Z5.
10Z4 is just theirs. Just theirs. 10Z5 is community development.
Okay. So Z5 then we'll start with, I guess.
No, Z4. Z4 is the trust, is Booker T and the Housing Authority. Z4. 10Z4.
Z4.
What's up? Thanks. Haven't seen you since the gas station in Central Jersey. It's good.
Okay, this is a resolution to recommend affordable housing trust funds to the Housing Authority of Jersey
For the record,
City,
I guess not everyone's listening.
Booker T. Washington Apartments.
Okay. So, the Division of Community Development has presented a resolution. I am the chairperson of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund met earlier this year.
Folks, I'm sorry,
I can't hear.
if you have side conversations, please take it outside. That means you. Just kidding.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Carmen.
The Affordable Housing Trust Fund Review Committee met earlier this year. We met in August, then again in October to decide applicants for this fiscal year, for fiscal year 18. The only project that was being recommended is the Booker T. Washington project. In our resolution, we presented that we're looking to rehabilitate 44 vacant units at Booker T. And I would open it up to either Stephen or Vivian to talk a little bit more about their project, but it's, we're recommending $750,000 from community development. It's in Ward F, and we'll take it away if you guys have questions in relation to this project.
Sure. Good evening, Council President, Council members. We're very pleased that the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, after reviewing our submission and our presentation before the body, are recommending us for a $750,000 grant from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. What does this mean for the Jersey City Housing Authority? Currently, actually 41 units of Booker T. Washington are in a state that does not enable us to rent them because they need significant repair. What that does to our budget and also to families that need housing is significant. If this is awarded, the Housing Authority will see an increase in our operating subsidy of about $427,000 once the project is completed. That means that not only can we house 41 families who are currently not housed, but that we can provide a higher level of staffing and resources for that community. You know, in order to get this project off the ground, we first had to obtain HUD approval for something called a force account labor project. What that means is that we had to present to HUD that our plan showed that it would reduce the cost of doing significant rehabilitation by hiring staff and temporary labor ourselves rather than going to a third party. And we had to show substantial savings. HUD approved that proposal in October of this year. We had also put in a proposal to the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. We are using $750,000 of our own capital fund dollars to support this project. I'm available, and I also have brought our development director and in-house counsel, Steve Sia, to answer any questions you might have.
Council members? Councilperson Ridley?
One question. Are there any plans, and I guess maybe not if we're rehabbing these units, are there any plans to do something similar to what was done at Lafayette or Montgomery with taking those buildings out and turning them into townhome style?
Not at this time at Booker T. We also at Booker T, recently replaced in the last 2 years the boilers using Sandy dollars. So being able to rehabilitate Booker T will take some additional time given the current level of investment there, but the Housing Authority is looking at other properties for revitalization.
It's a good project. I know it's a good project.
Thank you, Councilman.
It is.
How many units are currently active?
We have 319 units there. Out of those, the majority are residential. I believe we have 2 or 3 that are reserved for residents, if there's a resident activity, or for police department.
It's about 13–14% of our vacancies that are reflected in this project. And as I said, our operating subsidy from the federal government is determined by the amount of units that we actually have active and available to tenants.
Yeah.
Can I ask this?
Councilman Young?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So, that a Broker T Washington apartment, total how many units is there?
319 units.
319 units, okay. So
Yes.
now, my question is that there are 44 units are vacant. What was the reason 44 units was vacant was? Because of unrentable?
Uninhabitable.
Uninhabitable.
Uninhabitable, okay.
Yes.
So now, there
They're actually 41.
41, okay, 41. So then, so $1.5 million means almost each unit going to spend $34,000 for rehab. That's enough dollars to?
Yes, in order to get HUD approval, we had to establish the costs. We actually had to provide specifics on each individual unit and a projected cost. We also had to establish that it was cheaper to do these in-house, which they will be, than using outside labor.
Okay, good. Now, another question is that 41 units will be affordable housing units. They're going to be the income-wise household to 80% AMI.
Yes.
I want to know, 41 units up to 80% AMI, how many is 80%? How many units will be 60%? How many will be 40%? How many will be 20%? Can't you have any?
Yeah, I'll defer to Steve on this, but when we're talking about public housing, it's not the same as a low-income tax credit building where you have that type of specific breakdown in terms of numbers. What we do have is an obligation to take people off of our wait list, and they have to be eligible based on a variety of other things. We have a working family preference and so forth for public housing. So it doesn't exactly work like a LIHTC project where you have tiers of that. That said, we have an obligation towards deconcentration of poverty, and so when we look at this, we prioritize placing people who are in the lowest 0 to 30 realm of the very low income.
Okay, so another question is that when the director of the housing worker, I was very glad because you are one of the very innovative person in Jersey City Hall, and you did a great job at the mayor's office as deputy mayor. So at the time, I made one of the suggestions that the Jersey City is affordable housing, but concern is that each unit owned by private sectors or housing authority, they use all different applications. So, I mentioned to them one time that if you be director, do they able to use that maybe common application for every affordable housing? How therefore they work going now?
So the way we use our housing, we do not, it's a separate application process whether you're applying for mixed finance or for public housing. For public housing, we reopened the wait list this summer, working with about 23 community partners. We allow the residents to apply for all the different housing options they're interested in. So let's say I'm someone looking for a 2-bedroom. I can rank order, do I want to live in Booker T? Do I want to live in Hudson? Do I want to live in Holland? But it's really the work of the applicant to identify where they would like to live. And we don't restrict them. You could apply to one property or you could apply to multiple properties.
So now keys that so like even height.
Yes.
They have Cambridge Avenue, another one is a Summit Avenue, the other one is Hayes Street.
Yes.
There were 3 senior housing. When the people apply, they have to use 3 different applications.
Well, that's because interestingly enough, this question has come up, the Housing Authority does not manage the Section 8 vouchers for Summit. So I think part of the question is we manage a significant number of housing vouchers for a lot of the low income, the affordable housing, but some of those are also managed by the state's DCA. So I know that we do not do Summit. I don't know, Steve, about those 2 other properties. And as a result, they would have to use someone else's application because we're not the entities that's responsible for that building.
So we understand, but if those kind of place, when they build, in the future, they all use the city tax abatement, in other words,
Yes.
financial agreement. At that time, we can print that one of the demand is that they must have to use common application recommended by City of Jersey, something like that. So we try to make that the people apply for the way you say. They can apply for 4, 5, 6 different, but if you're able to fill up the 4, 5 different application, it's going to be huge and confusing. But if those kind of place, affordable housing unit, if they do tax abatement, because of the financial attached with them, we should be ask them use their common application recommended by City of Jersey. So make life easier, especially senior, and the people still using a computer.
I will just say this one last thing. Okay, I'm sorry.
Just jump in. Councilman, I want to bring us back to this specific ordinance if we can. Okay?
Yeah, but this is the chance to see.
I understand, but we do have to speak about this ordinance. Anyone have questions? Because I do have questions specifically about the ordinance.
right?
Yes. Okay, if not then, so the work is being done in-house?
Yes.
Who's performing the work?
We have a team of 14 Jersey City Housing Authority staffers they'll work in 2 separate teams of 7, each with a lead. And then we are backfilling positions. We're actually creating 6 new permanent positions. And we are using temporary labor that we're directly hiring to make sure there's no diminution of services from the sites that we are pulling from.
So as a result, there'll be 6 new hires?
There will be 6
total?
new hires, and we know that 1/3 of them meet the Section 3. They are either residents of the Housing Authority or residents of Jersey City, and we're prioritizing those individuals for our temporary labor as well.
Do we already have them hired, or are they new positions?
Well, since the 12, it will involve, we have already interviewed and identified who we are going to hire on the 6th. And some of those include, this includes some promotions within the organization itself.
I'd just like some information about your hiring information as to how it was advertised.
Yep.
How many applicants and so forth applied for these positions.
Absolutely. And we're also subject to our collective bargaining agreements as well.
Sure. Anyone else have questions specifically about Z4? Can you also break down for me as you said, it's you had to justify it to HUD in terms of doing this work in-house. And you said that there'll be an increased subsidy of $427,000.
Yes.
So in terms of what that subsidy, in terms of how that additional revenue, I guess, will support the organization and its services, I guess, and so forth.
And
How
absolutely.
might break down in terms of support services and other types of.
And absolutely, and also because of the way HUD works, those dollars have to be spent at Booker T.
You can provide me something around that?
Yes, we can. Absolutely.
Okay, great. All right, anyone else have questions about Z4 specifically? Okay. Then I want to move on to Z5 and then.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Thank you. This is a resolution of the council authorizing submission of the FY 2019 Community Services Block Grant application to the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs.
Yep.
Okay, Carmen, do you want to take it away and say anything?
Yeah, no. So again, just so for clarity, this is the CSBG grant, not part of the HUD entitlement grants, and often confused with the public services grant. So this is a submission of the application for the recommended projects for this year, and the projects were reviewed by the division, by the tripartite board committee, and the department director, and the mayor, and now here the council. And so this application is for us, pretty much for the state, so that we can apply for this grant, and we'll get our initial allocation come January 1.
This is not summer funding, this is full year.
This is not summer funding. I know my grants can be confusing at times, but this is not summer. This is CSBG, starts January 1 and goes to December 31st of next year.
Okay. Council, do you have questions on this particular item? I do. Can you provide me This is the step one, or is this in this process?
So, yeah, this is, what do you mean in regards to step one, so we're clear?
We go through a number of like approvals whenever this grant
Yeah,
comes
whenever
around,
this
right?
round comes around, yes. So
And
this,
so-
this is a submission. So in order for us to.
This is the submission.
In order for us to apply for the CSVG grant, the state needs a resolution. The second resolution would be the contracting one. So,
And this fixes the funding levels for each of these agencies?
yeah, and then you may.
Like, there's no amendments after this?
That's hard to say with the state, but, and kind of sort of with the budget that happens at the state level, but initially what's been approved is what you see here, what is going to be administered, and you're going to see several installments throughout next year as the allocation gets sent to DCD, and then we allocate the funding to the agencies.
So there's an opportunity for amendments following this?
Do you want to make an amendment?
Do you want to make an amendment?
I don't have anything off the top of my head.
But if you want to make an amendment, I can see from the state, from the time, but if we don't submit this, then we don't even get
Yeah.
this initial. So this is, if you do want to make an amendment, send me an email, and then we can email the state to see what's feasible.
Council members, questions? None? Okay. Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you.
All right, let's see, where do we go from here?
We just call it.
It's just
right?
so
Let's
much.
just-
It's
let's
like,
just, you know, let's adjourn.
let's go to Brian Weller. There's someone, Brian?
Say to Stacy, do something else if you want to. You got time.
Brian has a 10Z13, and is it 10Z21?
That's correct.
There's only 100 Zs.
Is it? Yeah, what's it's crazy.
How about you have your hair early?
Crazy.
Brian's usually in the corner at 10 o'clock at night. What did you do, good Joe?
He's got 2 items, that's
Two items. Two
There
items.
you go.
10Z13.
It's a resolution.
Contract with automated building controls for repair to the heating, ventilating, and air conditioning system at engine 14, 595 Palisade Avenue. That's at South Street.
Yes. Actually, this control system has been out of service for a while. The fire department's been trying to work with DPW desperately to get this fixed, and after a lot of review, the best thing we can do is replace the controls, and we did get 3 proposals, which you can see, and if we can award to automated building, we can get this underway.
Brian, how old is that building? It's not that old.
It's about 18 to 20 years old. We're not replacing the whole HVAC, it's the controls. The controls are actually missing in certain instances. I cannot explain that. I can only tell you what it's going to take to get it running.
Well, as I know that this Brian, I think that system didn't work almost 18, 20 years.
Is that old?
Yes. I mean, after the grand opening, that's when they started now working. I mean, this is a job. And also, you know, why they have to be control the system by remote control? Because they cannot, I think our firefighter can control their things. I mean, why we have to do that?
This is the quickest and most cost-effective way to make repairs. If we change the system to a more simple system, which is what we did look at the fire department's request, it would involve them vacating the premises, taking out the entire system and putting in new, from sealing up, basically. Because the way the original design was back 20 years ago, the controls that are operating, the air exchange and whatnot, we have to bring it up to full code, so it would require a full change, probably 6 to 10 times as much as this, and they're going to have to vacate them.
So
And we have 2 firehouses already.
So if we pay $25,000, it's going to be a working condition?
Yes.
Okay, and what kind of warranty do you want to provide?
Well, it's the controls. They're not going to provide any warranty on the HVAC units or anything like that, but the controls will be a year.
But the unit itself is now pretty old.
Well, I mean, we have a maintenance program that is maintaining them, so.
Amber Air on there.
Amber Air going to be maintained, that one?
I mean, we'll have to
And then, let me ask you this one. Amber Air, we pay for that, the yearly contract actually include this location, but they don't do nothing. What maintenance they have? Because air conditioning doesn't work in many years, and we pay for them to maintenance, something we're not even working conditions.
I shut it off.
Really?
I mean, one thing I could suggest is that we talk to DPW who administers that contract.
Business administration, do you know what I'm talking about? We pay for Amber Air for maintenance all the air conditioning boiler unit, city buildings, and this is just one of those, the building that the air conditioning unit not even working, but we pay for the maintenance.
This is an issue that's beyond regular maintenance, though. This is like a total malfunction and a missing parts.
Parts are just absolutely missing.
Yeah,
Gone.
I mean, who knows where they went, but it's not a maintenance issue.
Councilman, are you saying Amber Air hasn't been doing its job? Is that what you're saying?
What kind of job they do? Because instead of use a central air conditioning system, they use a window unit, right? I mean, but it's okay. As long as you make it $25,000, make that the things is working, thank God. Still better than just putting the big units on top of the roof instead of don't do nothing. Yeah, okay?
How long has this been out? To his point?
Well, it came to our attention about 8 months ago, but I understand it's been out a little bit longer than that. They have had portable units running. I don't know.
Almost 15 years this didn't work.
15 years?
Yes. But it's okay. It's a lot of joke, you know, things happen in the Jersey City, so it's just one of those. So it's all right. Let it go. But as long as we make sure that we spend $25,000, make working condition, so let them have some errors, that's all.
Yep.
And then it's maintained by Amber Air after that?
Yeah.
Yes, or whoever's going to have a maintenance contract, yes.
Okay, and then you've got Z21. This is a resolution awarding a contract to W.B. Mason Company for the purchase, delivery, and installation of office furniture for the Department of Housing, Economic Development, and Commerce, Division of City Planning, and the Building Department through the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey, formerly Middlesex Regional Educational Services Commission.
So this, Council, this should be the final request for new furniture at the new City Hall Annex. This is to replace furniture that was missed in the first order, as well as a couple of corrective actions requested by the divisions listed in the ordinance.
So which division need this?
I'm sorry?
Which division for this?
They're listed in the title. It's City Planning, HEDC, and the Building Department.
You say it was missed.
Right.
They're missing some.
$38,000 worth missed.
It was missed.
So how much we total purchase of furniture for the City Hall Annex building? Total? Millions?
No.
So how much was it?
I'd have to calculate.
Yeah, it's very interesting. If we can provide some total dollar spending for fixture for City Hall Annex building. I think it's good to know, you know?
Yeah.
Any other questions?
No?
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Council.
Let's see. Got Christine, and then we'll have Stacy after that. Okay? Christine, you have 10 what?
H.
10H.
H was on the last agenda. It's an award to Night Kitchen for Night Kitchen Interactive to create and implement a compelling interpretive experience for the Apple Tree House.
So Night Kitchen is an organization that has been working with museums and historic spaces to help develop compelling content, and they're partnering with another organization called the International Coalition of Sites of Conscience. And so they're going to work with us to do some training sessions to help us figure out what is going to be the most compelling story in terms of content at the Apple Tree House. They're going to help us do some trial exhibitions to see what works, and to coach our staff and the people who are going to be inside the house on engaging interpretive experiences for the public.
Do they provide some kind of earphone machines when you press button, tell the story, those kind of things also? Is it include hardware or just consulting course?
Well, it's exactly that type of a thing. This is phase one, where we're going to, as a group, really develop what story we want to tell. Then we're going to do a trial run with non-invasive tools and to see how that works. And then we find the best process for a permanent tool for the public.
You know, the reason I'm asking you, our people's working the Apple Tree House, they not speak all different languages, you know what I'm saying? The Spanish, English, so and so. But digital will be as a destination area, a lot of different, and people's going to be stopped by to visiting the Apple Tree House. Then there's somewhere we have some tool, earphone study, like when you press a select the language, so they can hear some different story about, not different way to language, different by the different language, they can hear about the story of the Apple Tree House. But if we just train them ourselves, just one type of language, English, you know what I'm saying? And without any hardware to provide those kind of stuff, we're going to spend even the money, $39,000 or $500. I think we only get go so much, you know? So you have a plan to bring up some hardware to certain some electric system. Yes, no?
Yes, the goal is to work with this organization, and they are the professionals that will help us do that successfully, so that we can engage with the entire public of Jersey City on a regular basis with a compelling story, with trained people who know how to interact and really build out that experience.
And they also provide some kind of a different by language, right?
So
language.
That's part of this process.
This process, right?
Yes.
Then how much will be a hardware cost will be if we bring up to that area?
That will be the next phase. Well, it depends, because they do a wide range of
service.
Yeah, they can do things that are.
Depends on what we select will determine the price, correct?
Yeah.
First,
We want
just the first phase. To get it together, to see exactly how we want it to go, that type of thing. Then from there, you'll come back again and discuss that.
What are the kind of hours the Apple Tree House is open to the public?
Right now, we're doing tours Wednesdays from 11 to 1 to test it. We don't have any dedicated staff member to run these tours. We've been trying to get the house open and to really get used to having a regular schedule. In 2019, we're actually testing a new docent program with the Hudson County Community College that will help bring students on a regular basis. And that's when we hope, with these tools, to be able to have student docents and also bring in volunteers that we can then put them right to work, volunteering.
Nice. Yeah.
And we employ some senior.
It's part of like the
Absolutely, yes.
college.
What is the source of funding for all this?
This was in our 2018 budget.
Okay. And who's involved in kind of being part of creating the experience?
Sure, so it will be the facilitators along with members of my staff and the Apple Tree House Advisory Committee. And representatives include our colleges and universities, the Board of Ed, History Department, and then our local community stakeholders, the Bergen Square Historic Society, the Jersey City Landmarks Conservancy. We have a nice representation on our advisory committee. And they will all be invited, along with Speranza Theater Company that did a production already inside the house.
I really don't have that much story for the apple tree house.
What?
We really have a story for the apple tree house to make them like 5, 10, 15
Chop
minutes.
down the apple tree or something.
He said, do we really have that much
Story.
story for the apple tree house?
It's historic.
Well, there's 1740 and it's still.
Quite a bit of money on this. It's, I hope there's a story there.
There's a couple of stories. There's the story of the actual renovation and the journey of that. There's the story of the history of Jersey City. And then there's the story of the people of Jersey City, right? And so there's a lot that we can draw on from all of the different perspectives.
All right.
Lots of
Make sure Rich is there, he's a very historical.
He's got a front row seat for everything.
Never invite the Rich. He's gonna take
I hope
all
you
day,
all-
all night.
yeah,
There's
I hope
no
you all will
documentation in history that Washington was ever there.
See, I told you.
But he knows his
He already
history.
break all the story already.
No, but Rich knows his history about the city. He does.
This in your packet, 10 years.
He does.
But this,
Oh,
I'll get,
I thought
we'll
you
talk
might-
about it and I'll.
Then they have a no apple tree story.
It might be the last item. Let's check the last.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay, if it's definitely in, then we don't need to make copies of it.
It's not the iteration you're talking about.
What do you mean?
This is 20.
What number you have,
20 years.
Stacy? What
The
number?
one that's on the table doesn't have that. Doesn't say 20. It
Z36
says
through
10.
Z40.
Yeah, but I said that includes the ordinance itself.
They're all quick.
Package.
I did have the.
36 through 40, yeah.
Let me find it.
But it's a lot, but not a lot.
Everything's fine.
They're all quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which item do you have?
Z36 through Z40. So 36 is a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding with the New Jersey Citizen Action Education Fund to provide financial counseling to Jersey City residents. We've actually been doing that internally for city employees through the benefits office, and they came to us and asked us if they can continue to do that through the annex for Jersey City residents, so we'd like to partner with them to do that. Z37, enabling resolution.
How are they getting their clients?
Well, once we sign this resolution, I think we'll create a flyer of sponsorship, and we would coordinate with all of the Healthier JC partners, let them know whatever times are open. We ask them to be open, have some time at night, so we're open. I mean, the building's open 24/7 if we want it to be, but, so we'd like to have some nighttime hours, and then, so however we choose, but the memorandum is simply so they can actually do business. We don't pay them, they have grant funding, and they just want to support people. They do their work in English and Spanish, and they're looking for staff that work in Arabic as well.
The reason I ask is because they were doing this before for us, not just for employees. I forget who funded it. There was a grant of some sort that we.
There was, like, years ago that we
It was just last year. So, and the reason I remember this is because, actually, maybe it was this year. Maybe this year.
We coordinated with senior services in years
At
past.
the time, I had suggested that they link up with the BA, who was Kakaleski at the time, because there were people with regard to revaluation who were dealing with their challenges around taxes and so forth. And so I suggested during those appeal processes that they actually connect with people in the appeal process and do the outreach directly to those folks.
We
because they could probably
we
use some
can
financial counseling assistance.
recommend that something go into the next
I
tax.
mean, we still have a lot of people who are appealing taxes, and so maybe doing some outreach there and connecting to those folks to give them some strategies on how to deal with their tax issues,
Yeah.
burdens.
Yeah, that works.
I don't know that it needs to be in the MOU, but if someone could communicate
I
back
think,
to them.
yeah,
we never quite got it off the ground last time, so that's.
So they need an MOU to keep working with us. We didn't really, we were like, had our law department review it, and they were like, this is fine. So if we wanted to add more to it of like what our role would be, we can do that.
Great.
A private foundation pays for them.
Okay, so just directly to that.
Yeah, we don't get any money for it. We just want to partner with them so that people feel safe, especially if they go into senior centers and other places.
I would add also, besides people who are appealing their taxes, we just had a tax lien sale, right? So I mean, there are folks out there who are struggling to figure out how to deal with the changes of revaluation and all of that sort of stuff.
Well, I'll follow up with Ed and see how I can get him in a meeting with Beverly and friends, so.
Yeah, to provide this information, these resources to them. Okay, your next item?
37Z, enabling resolution authorizing the execution of a grant agreement and the acceptance of a grant award from the Illinois Department of Health Institute through the affiliate of Data Across Sectors for Health, DASH. So this is one of two. The second one you'll see next month. This is a mentorship award to enable the health department to internally teach the staff how to better utilize data so we can come up with better performance indicators and a stronger dashboard. And so this is a new organization that is affiliated with Robert Wood Johnson, and we were recommended for this award. So this one's just $5,000, but it comes with a year-long mentorship. Our mentor is out of the University of Pittsburgh. So.
Questions, council? None? Your next item?
Okay, a resolution authorizing an affiliation agreement with Rutgers University for its Biomedical and Health Sciences School of Public Health to cooperate for allowing internships of public health students enrolled in both graduate and undergraduate programs at the health department.
In my queue? Sure was more, right? Nothing in my queue.
Okay.
I'll confirm the next.
Okay. The next one is a Z39, a resolution authorizing a memorandum of understanding with the Jersey City Board of Education to provide lead screening to Jersey City school children. There was a resolution passed late spring at the Board of Ed to require lead testing in schools. We have, since we're entering a new year, we need a new MOU with the Board of Ed. Our last staff member started today, so we were fully staffed to be able to, except for nurses, whenever you find a nurse that speaks Spanish and Arabic, send them my way, to go into all the schools. We're gonna, as soon as this is passed, we'll start lead testing, the new BLL, blood lead level, for intervention with a nurse is 5, and so that's a reduction from the 14 last year. Our caseload is tripled, and we'd like to do the outreach in the school system as soon as possible. So.
Is this, have we done this before?
We've not done this before. The only city that is doing this, I believe, is Asbury Park. All this funding comes from the child-led education prevention programming from the state, and the new federal guidelines that we helped pass several years ago. What moved from originally, this was 0 to 5, and now it's 0 to 17. So now we've tripled the age bracket and decreased the intervention point 200%.
Okay. My only, this is great, so.
Yeah.
I'd love to see kind of what the results of this are.
Yeah.
Quarterly reports.
Sure.
If that's possible.
I mean, we do a data dashboard on a monthly basis, so we can have that upload right onto the open data portal, if we can make that happen.
Yeah, we can work on that.
And then Z40 is a resolution authorizing, I can't even pronounce this, Robert, the Nunk-Pro-Tunk Extraordinary Unspecified Services Agreement.
That just means now for them, we're doing it because we didn't do it before, we're doing it now.
Yeah, so we had to start spending this money that you approved at the last council meeting. So we started the training today for mental health, first aid, train the trainer. It's a 3-day training. This money comes out of the funding from SAMHSA grant that started October 1st. But we had to sign the contract so that we can start the training. And at the last council meeting, there was some confusion on a PO, so we couldn't. And so that tends to be, there's like always one PO dragging. And so this is so that we can pay for that training.
Great. Any questions on that? None? Thank you, Stacy.
Oh, and then just, I dropped like 40 of these in the office, the council office, but if you need more, just call Joan. It's the updated senior directory.
And I should say to everybody who's come through, happy holidays. Enjoy your holiday. See you in the new year, if not sooner.
All right, well.
You just got your Christmas present, you're out of here at 6:30.
Yeah, well, John just told me there's one thing that's not, well,
Just go.
there's 2 items that didn't make the agenda because of the POs.
One of them is on the agenda, it's just not with the packet right now because the PO number got messed up.
Yeah, and that is for the Immigrant Affairs Symposium on January 8th. Since we had just taken over the division, we're sort of sharing with all of our colleagues the vision for the year. We're doing that on January 8th at St. Peter's, and we needed, yeah.
Okay, they were in your council boxes. As per Robert.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well, I'm having reruns, so.
Yeah, there's a contract with it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Rupert, you want to step up here? Rupert has 2 ordinances, 3E and 3F, and I just want to preface this by saying, after speaking with his supervisor, Pierre Leandre, he is here specifically to speak on 3E and 3F. If you have broader questions about kind of compliance issues and things of that nature, while I think Rupert's very capable, Pierre specifically requested that it just be relegated to these 2 ordinances. Is that fair to say?
What's your last name, Rupert?
Sure. It's Verano, V as in Victor, E-R-A-N-O.
Rupert Verano, thank you.
So 3E is an ordinance rescinding Ordinance 16-021 and terminating the tax exemption and financial agreement with 9th Street 2 Urban Renewal. 3E. You want to say anything about that?
Sure. So this office, I'm here on behalf of Tax Abatement and Compliance. This office is to enforce the Project Employment Contract Agreement, otherwise known as PICA or PECA. And essentially our job is to monitor whether or not real estate projects are compliant with, I guess, the agreement with Project Employment and Contracting for the workforce and also for business contracting. And so I'm happy to answer any questions anybody may have to the best of my ability and to the best of my knowledge.
So just for the record, Rupert, what's the non-compliance issue here? I'm familiar with
For which project, Council President?
For this one, 9th Street.
Oh, for 9th Street. So the primary issue was for the workforce requirement, which requires that 51% of the workforce on construction is to be Jersey City residents.
And that's a good faith effort, to be clear.
And also good faith in the event that that 51% threshold is not. Tax abatement and compliance.
Isn't that unconstitutional to do something like that?
To do what, exactly?
To take away, you already granted it to them.
To
and
take
now
it
you're gonna
away.
take it away?
That's part of the agreement though, isn't it?
Well, arguably they're saying that they're not in compliance, and so they haven't abided by the agreement. And so the remedy here is that comes before the city council to say if we want to rescind their ordinance.
Have they started to develop this property?
This project is actually already complete. If I may, Council President, so our office makes some recommendations to the administration. Our office itself is not empowered to take away a tax abatement. In fact, our recommendation was to impose liquidated damages on the project.
So you did impose liquidated damages?
recommend?
No.
Why not? I'm just curious. They broke it, why didn't we do it?
This is the outcome the administration is
Proposing.
Yeah.
They're proposing to the city council that this is the outcome that they want to see, which is rescinding their tax abatements, as opposed to seeking monetary damages or some other compensation.
It's done.
The project is done, yes.
So is it the tax abatement, they pay regular tax?
Still, you should have got some.
They're violating
Because they
the
violated
choice
too.
agreement?
Right.
I mean, there's options,
Yeah.
liquidating damages or rescinding the abatement. Is that the,
That's the option.
legally, are those the options?
Sort of.
That's what I'm saying. Which is the better.
There's nothing codified that exactly what the options are, though, right?
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah.
I don't know, what did y'all say?
But let me ask you this one. Can I ask?
What did y'all say? I didn't know, I missed it. So I was talking like.
We just said there's nothing codified that says exactly what the options are.
Oh,
If
okay.
there's a default.
And by the financial agreement, the PACA, we supposed to get certain period of time to bring up the plan to mitigate that, whatever violation they had. But all those legal time we provide for them, but still they not provide
Right.
what we're looking for. Then they don't deserve the tax abatement period.
They probably didn't contribute enough.
So to that end, what did we do on our part? I just want to make sure we're covering our bases here. If we're taking an action like this. What did we do to ensure compliance in terms of sending notices and the like to inform the employer that they're, or the developer that they're out of compliance?
Sure, so after the default notice was issued, we actually had a remediation
It was
meeting.
October, right?
But prior to that,
We issued an advisory notice in August stating exactly where they were deficient in terms of the PICA agreement. And we brought to the table possible, I guess, remedies. What they brought to the table was a collection of reports and records that tried to show good faith. It turns out that, according to the director and myself, after review, that it wasn't substantial enough to, I guess, show good faith for the period in question.
So, question, because this building is already done, right?
I'm sorry?
This building's done, right? Is that what you
Correct.
said? So,
She went to school.
when was it completed? Do you know offhand?
I'm sorry, I wasn't.
Do you know when it was completed offhand?
Not sure.
Okay.
Chuck is here.
But during the process, right, because there's nothing we could do to change what they did or didn't comply with while they were in the building process. So during that process, did somebody check for these things while the building was going on?
There was an opportunity for their post-construction, meaning that they actually have a commercial space with a commercial tenant. This was something that we also explored.
Can you say one more? How does that work?
This is on the table.
So when they have post-construction, say for example, if they were to open a CVS, I guess part of our office, this was considered
It is being,
compliance would be to hire Jersey City
Okay.
labor.
So that was, and you discussed that with them in the meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
But it also turns out that they may not be opening something to that effect.
Something that would have lots of local.
I thought that was because
How do they compare in terms of deficient local hiring compared to
I asked
other
for it.
basins over, 2017, 2018?
There are other projects that do achieve 51%, but I would say it's not as much as the city as administration would like.
We have like an ability to, obviously if our argument is there, we're potentially removing their abatement because of unique bad actions, can we just sort of demonstrate that they, are either significantly below the other comparisons, or, or there's something else they did, that record looks like you're basically saying potentially they falsified documents or things like that.
Yeah, typically you'll see if the project doesn't get to the 51% threshold, they perform good faith efforts, which is what we were mentioning. So like they'll do job fairs and they'll reach out to City Hall and they'll connect with certain stakeholders to try and do what they can to get Jersey City residents hired and the appropriate hiring levels. And it doesn't always get you there, but the good faith piece is that's how they show it. And the documentation that was provided didn't match up to the other good faith efforts that we've seen. Also, the number of hires was significantly lower than a lot of the others, so a lot of the other projects are, 40%, 30%. This was 2% or 4%.
Can you document, that makes you what you're saying, can you document both those pieces, so just give us a sense of how does their local hiring compare to similar projects, and then how do their good faith efforts compare to similar projects? So just have a sense of, why they're, uniquely bad, basically.
See, Pierre may have that.
Yeah.
Pierre may already have that.
To the council?
Yeah, it's here.
We have a memo. It talks just about that
Right,
project.
but he may have that. key-
When we read it, the Caucus agreement, they are very clear. Contract or developer must have to report their hiring report, how many people they hire, Jewish people, how many, and so on, so every month. So this project is going to concession 2 years. They're violating not just once. They over the 2 years, they continue violating Caucus agreement. So every time when your compliance officer, when you receive the first things, they have to make a report every month. First, if they're not making a report every month, they are violating contract already.
That's correct, Councilman.
You know what I'm saying? So now, you guys shouldn't be waiting for 2 years. If the construction job done already more than 50%, job is done almost 50%, but past the 50%, not even higher, 51% of the people of Jersey, then at the time you guys should bring this council to ask them revoke that tax abatement.
So the challenge is, and we understand, we hear that, but the challenge is that it's hard to get to that 51% threshold, so we allow for a good faith effort, which takes time.
Yes.
So if the first few months of the project they don't get there, we say, look, we'll work with you to try and find some ways to get there. And it may take a few months, and some of them come up and some of them don't.
But we have to be understand, and the compliance officer, and the Brian Flat as a business operator, good point. We asked them 51%, but I'd like to know, I'm pretty sure this is not the developer. Sometimes it's very difficult to hire more than 51% of people in Jersey City. So we have to look into that matter, you know what I'm saying? They wish to hire, but probably the labor, staff labor in Jersey City maybe is not able to provide so many projects to provide the 51%. You understand? So maybe in the future, you also come up reasonable numbers. 51% are critically great numbers, but actually they can able to hire 51%. We got to look into that matter too. Don't jeopardize the developer who will bring up the job, certain amount, or bring up the improvement in this area. But when you ask more than what they can do, then we are the wrong. All right?
Also wanted to be noted that the developer was actually providing good faith in previous quarters. Just in recent quarters, they haven't been able to achieve that.
Yeah, good faith is easy to say that, but too bold, you know what I'm saying?
Danny. No.
All right? But
3 apartments.
okay, let's just spend the 2.5 years. If they're not, it's a good sample to tell the message other developers, put up the day, put some extra effort to hire people in Jersey.
Who's the developer?
Schuster, right.
Have you gone after any of the big developers that are doing work around this city?
I guess relative to all the projects that I've been monitoring, this is one of the larger ones, considering the aggressive construction schedule in terms of how many people were hired in a given time.
So I think, again, in terms of whether they've gone after, Pierre was very clear that Rupert's fairly, how long have you been there now?
I actually started in August.
So
prior to that,
Pierre said he would be happy to talk about generally what their efforts have been over the past. He's not available today, tonight.
But part of their problem was they were short of staff. Remember, because we went through the budget and we needed to make sure that they had enough in the budget to hire, because that was one of his challenges, was staffing. I remember he brought that up, kept saying he needed staff.
Yeah, that was more for the law department, for you guys. I think if the city moves forward and we terminate this abatement, I mean, do you feel that we are acting fully within our rights and would win any potential legal challenge? I mean, obviously you can't the world is, has uncertainty, but how confident do you feel in this?
I can tell you that, it's a matter of, it's a policy decision to be made by the compliance office, by Mr. Leandro, and the council may vote on what's been presented. Yeah. As far as, likelihood of success or merits of success, like you said, there's no guarantees in the world. However, what is here and what is before you conforms with the four corners of what the city may do.
Okay.
So if I can add on to that.
I think there's some certain legal issues there that maybe we could have a closed meeting at the next part of that, just to have a discussion about that.
I think this should.
We don't want to say things on the public record that might expose us to some risk.
Right.
So would you like us to put that on for Wednesday, closed session for the next caucus maybe?
Yes.
Okay. So our office actually enforces the PICA, which I understand is a subsection of a financial agreement, which we technically have no jurisdiction as a compliance office.
I mean, we are not the one. They are the one actually not compliance financial agreement, which is one of the part of the PACA. You know what I'm saying? If you give exception for this company and the other company, then we have to give the exemption to everybody. That's a very dangerous play. If this company not complies with what their agreement, then they should be hit with some kind of a punishment, a penalty, what they agree.
That's what I said.
Simple. Don't just waste your time. Even though they're going to charge the city of New Jersey legally, let them do it. We have a great lawyer, Peter Baker.
Michael.
Thank you, Councilman.
Let him handle it. Okay? As if our council members will decide based on agreement and they based on other benefit to people of Jersey City. But they not provide any benefit to Jersey City, and they want to take a tax abatement.
Okay.
Okay.
Understood, Councilman.
Just one request for both of these, 3 and 3F, to the BA.
Yeah.
Could I see if it should be rescinded, could we see the financials with regard to conventional taxes? And what that looks like
Right.
for the schools and for the city and the county.
Yeah.
But that should be good to see a side-by-side comparison.
Could I address this since both of those are my clients?
Both of you.
Do you want to talk to the second one first?
Let's talk about the second one, and then I'm going to open it up to the council if you want to. We don't normally allow for public.
Well, I think I can add some insight on.
Closed session.
No.
No, not the closed session.
We don't need it now,
This
because
is
this will be all night.
information.
We'll be here all night. Let him finish the next one.
Let's finish 3F, and then we'll decide whether or not we'll allow Chuck to have an opportunity to speak. Any, you want to speak to 3F, which is an ordinance rescinding Ordinance 16-011 and terminating the tax exemption financial agreement with 305 West Side Avenue Urban Renewal LLC.
Sure. So this was also initiated by my predecessor, the former Deputy Director of Tax Abatement and Compliance, Santiago Paris. So this was during his tenure. This is pretty much outside of my scope, but I do have information relative to 305 West Side in particular. So from what I understand is that this project has stalled since May of 2018 for this year. And it's been realized that for a number of issues. Number one was I think there may be some engineering issues in terms of the structure. Second, they had fired their GC, the general contractor. So I guess more specifically, the reason why we're here is because their workforce and also their business contracting has both been non-compliant. Essentially, there's been minimal Jersey City representation on the workforce and 0 Jersey City businesses on their business contracting, which makes them complete non-compliant, in addition to no good faith.
Councilman, this is your ward.
For this too, I would like to see how the financials are impacted, and also to, since the project has been solved, to rescind this abatement, what that will mean for the future of this building, because it's still up and it's still incomplete, and there's issues of public safety and sidewalk safety and just the structure itself. And I don't know that that's necessarily questions for you, but those are some of the questions that I have around it.
Understood, yeah, as far as the financials and the future of the building, I cannot answer that.
So it's not the finance issue, more like the engine structure and the contract issue?
I believe, as far as why they stopped, I can't answer to that. But as far as their compliance, there has been virtually no compliance in the past, I would say since April, actually it's been reported since April of last year. They've had an advisory notice issued to them.
And since the structure is essentially vacant, is there currently security on the premises in case something, God forbid, happens or a fire starts, something like that?
Right, from what I understand is that the sidewalk has been closed and has been forcing residents to...
It forces residents to go across the street and walk down there, and it is fenced in and there is rubble around it. We've had inspectors come a number of times. That's what I'm saying, it's a public safety concern.
Want to ask Joe Cronin about
We
it?
can handle that portion.
Yeah, okay.
I wasn't aware of the sidewalk issue. We could work with DPW or bring in a contractor and leave the property.
Okay.
Just get it done.
Yeah,
It
great.
shouldn't be closed. I don't think there's a valid permit on that.
Okay.
As far as security, I'm in no position to answer for that.
Okay, so who would know?
That's a good question. So who will secure the site? You are.
Pass me the property address. We'll check tomorrow. If there's any valid permit, we'll check out. And we'll proceed with whatever we have power-wise in our ordinance. We're gonna have to warn them.
Who's the developer?
Right, you have to,
We're gonna have to warn them and give them the ability to address it on their own. They'll likely receive, if there's no permit, they'll likely receive summonses immediately by police, who enforces the traffic permit. As you know very well. You just gotta put the pressure on, but yeah, no, that's dangerous. We're very strict.
Well, and my concern is that it has been reported, but I'm not sure where it's landing. So if we can tighten that up.
There were some substances like Ray, I believe, right?
Yeah.
That's on the, so.
That's
very
the
important
inside,
to know.
that's not,
Yeah.
yeah, that's not that.
Who's this developer?
I'm sorry, Councilman?
Who's this developer?
This is Road Plan Corp., I believe is the principal, under Sidney Zapino.
You know, it doesn't seem like you're going after the big people that are breaking the laws constantly, which I drive Joe really crazy about, and a couple of other people, and you're going after these smaller developers. And the big ones, nobody touches.
Sure, so I think there's a division between the PLA and the PICA. This office enforces the PICA in particular. As far as project agreements, I would have to defer to the director here.
Yeah, that question, we have to bring in Pierre to discuss that.
So this is the one of the projects I say yes for the 20 years of tax abatement, because this project is located next of the high voltage transformer.
Yes.
And always I say that who's going to buy or rent units next of the high voltage transformer? And that empty lot was it's eyesore, it looks terrible. So this is at the first time I say yes for 20 years of tax abatement. Even I mentioned to the developers brave enough to build, invest some money in their site. But when I see that they stole the project, actually break my heart. Any way we can help them to bring back this project, we should be. Even though we council then I file the package agreement, someone down the future, if some development need to come up, bring back, maybe we can talk about it. New tax when that develop. This is really a break my heart. I like to see that improvement to West Side Avenue. But unfortunately, doesn't matter which way you go, they broke that agreement. Then we go follow that, and when they next time when you opportunity to do it, bring back the tax and we can discuss with that. Yeah.
Okay, any other questions on these? Okay, thank you. I was advised by our legal that not a good idea, and so I think you can talk offline. We shouldn't really negotiate these things in the public space. You can certainly have conversations with us individually off time, okay?
Country. Yeah.
Barca.
But if the project come back,
Although, somebody wrote down, yeah.
Bob's here.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, you're up.
You're up.
Z22.
You're up. I said you're up.
Thank you. Thanks, BA.
Thanks for
You got
coming.
what, Z22?
No, thank
You
you.
brought nothing with
Z22.
All right, this is a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting to award a contract for consulting services needed in connection with the development of a parking management plan.
Oh. Fair. What about Andrew? Leave it right.
Good evening, everyone. This is a follow-up from the resolution that was on the agenda at the last council meeting, which was to accept the grant that we've been awarded. Last year, we applied to the NJTPA Sub-Regional Studies Program, which allows us to do planning studies. And we were awarded a grant for $300,000, inclusive of a 20% local match, to do a citywide parking study, which will result in a parking management plan, which we currently don't have for Jersey City. So the tasks of the plan will include data collection, which will involve a spreadsheet-based and a GIS-based inventory of all existing parking supply in the city. This includes on-street, off-street, public, private, everything. And the next step from that would be analysis of the data that we've collected to see where there's an excess of parking, where parking is built but not being used, like some of the private garages, where there are regulations for parking in certain redevelopment areas or areas of the city that are not appropriate for the development patterns in that area, and how to right-size them. And then all of that will be modeled spatially so we could do scenario-based planning and understand what the parking needs are for specific neighborhoods. And there will be a robust public outreach process related to this, because we've written into the scope that whatever consultant we hire to do this study will have to take it neighborhood by neighborhood and address the specific concerns that exist throughout the city. And all of this will result in recommendations for how to optimize the supply we have already, and how to look at innovative strategies for parking in the future, things like dynamic pricing and shared parking. And in addition, the final parking management plan will also outline what agencies in the city should be responsible for what kind of reporting should be done, who should handle each piece of it, which will obviously involve the parking division and several divisions within HEDC.
They're going to give us $300,000 for this, right? I could save them the money. I can name you 1, 2, 3, 4, and possibly 5 people in this room that could do this survey, and we don't need them, and tell you all the information you just talked about. People that have lived here know what's going on and know what the problems are. And, you know.
They'll come up with some ideas too, correct?
Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Yes.
And
We need some.
So,
Evidently, we ain't doing, we need some.
so let me ask you this one. So they're gonna be not just, they're gonna make a recommendation to city council by solution that, you know, what kind of parking rules we should be created, some comprehensive solution they're gonna provide.
that will be one part of it, correct?
Yeah, because we all know that we have a problem.
Right.
Exactly.
So don't tell me our problem.
Right, we know the problem.
We like hear from them solution by word by word. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, but at the same time, I think it's worthwhile to have a really strong grasp
Thank you very-
of
yes.
what the supply is and also what the patterns are. So we know anecdotally that a lot of people are using Jersey City as a parking lot on their way to their final destination to work, to Manhattan or wherever it is they're going. We know it anecdotally, but this study will allow us to put numbers to those stories that we have, both having experienced it ourselves and hearing our neighbors talk about it. And all of that will allow us to get a better sense of how to not only manage our parking, but to manage our traffic. So
getting a better sense of what commuters are bringing their cars into the city, parking it, how long are they leaving it, for what purpose, is that taking away from residential parking spots, and how to streamline that entire process. It'll also allow parking division to have a better sense and hold of the data, so that if we do need to make policy changes related to parking, we have all the data to back it up. Right now, we may want to make progressive policy changes that we think and have been proven to be good ideas, but we don't have the data specific to Jersey City to back it up. And I think all of this will help.
So this company will be conducting some community meeting ward by ward, right?
Even more, we're thinking neighborhood by neighborhood. So
Okay, great.
it's even within the wards, going to different areas. We don't know exactly how we're gonna, divide those up yet, but public outreach will absolutely be a big part of this, especially because of what we've seen with the other transportation plans that are going on
Great.
right now, and us wanting to have more public input. I'm not worried that we're gonna have a lot of people coming out to these meetings, because parking seems to be the #1 issue, but making sure we really hear their concerns and are able to address them.
Is there a general, timeline for the project? Like, can we
Sure.
expect to get information from public meetings as soon as 1 month, 2 months, 3 months into the year?
Absolutely. So this resolution will authorize the competitive contracting within 5 to 6 days. We're hoping to have the RFP released. We usually like to give about a month for people to put together their proposals and send them back to us for us to review. So I think I would estimate about March would be when we would award and bring the consultant on, and then from there would be a 15-month-long study. So when we bring the consultant on, we'll have a proposal that they'll give us of when they think it makes sense to have the public meeting. So they would say maybe the first 2 months they'll spend doing complete data collection, and then in early month 3, they want to have their first round of public meetings. So it won't just be one traditional public meeting where we ask people to come to us. We'll do more of like them going to events that are already taking place. But we'll have a schedule once we get a consultant on board.
Okay, so we're gonna get, all the council are gonna get the notice for the annual
Absolutely,
meeting dates,
yes.
right? So Brian, can I ask you a quick question?
Of course.
Yeah. When we do any major development, that the contract and developer must have to provide traffic study and the parking study. Who is the person review their traffic and parking study? Which department?
Can I take this one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Typically, we don't ask for a parking study. It's whatever.
Traffic more like it.
More traffic. That's our division. Engineering, traffic, and transportation. We do a review, but keep in mind, with the way the explosion of development is going on in this city, the timing is the key element that's always missing. So we can review it today, and tomorrow 2 more towers pop up over here, or plans for them, but the towers that came in a year later, application-wise, are already breaking ground, meanwhile the original one we approved. So it's a major challenge to try to piece these together as we go along. So what we try to do is look at it holistically, section by section, and try to match it up with the redevelopment plan the way it's designed for full build-out. It's really the only way to do it. And a lot of the challenges going back and working with planning consistently to make sure that that feedback was originally part of the redevelopment plan, which I regretfully say, I don't think it was completely, engineering and planning were never really on the same keel as they are now.
See, Joe Connor, you work since Jersey, what years?
September 2015.
2015, right. Council President, he has pretty good memory skills. 2014, this city council, when we talk about the planning department checklist for the project, at the time, as Council Michael added to parking study, must have to provide parking study, add to traffic study. And now, since 2014 till today, the way you describe, the city planning department never put in the parking study, then they didn't do their job.
I have the perfect solution.
Yeah, what is it?
This management plan will give us the roadmap and all of the data that we need based on our current situation to be able to inform any changes needed to each and every one of those redevelopment plans.
Okay, so Council President, how we can print the planning department when they reviewed all the major projects? Today is that one of the checklists only traffic study. how we can print that the a parking study required. I think we do the 2014, but somehow planning department overlooked that issue. I think we gotta make sure that, Brian, planning department must have to provide and review that any project, not only traffic study, also they should have a parking study included as a checklist. And we wanna know which person will be charged of that look into parking and traffic study. You're the one, right?
Well, actually, the planning reviews the gross parking provided versus what the
Yeah,
redevelopment.
this is a little off topic, and I'll talk to Anissa
Yes,
about
please.
it. Yeah.
All right, but I
Any
think,
questions about the
but
parking?
I'm very convinced that once we have this parking management
All
plan,
right.
this will be able to inform all of our parking related issues.
Okay.
Especially the revenue.
So you know what, even though we spent $300,000, it's about time to do it, really. I'm so glad.
We're just gonna be spending $60,000, the other $240 is gonna be from NJTPA.
So when they gonna expect to finish the study?
It will be May 2020.
May 2020?
The study itself takes 15 months.
Exactly, and
She just said that.
And I understand it's a long timeline, but it's a citywide comprehensive look at parking that hasn't been done as of yet, and I think it's a worthwhile effort that should take about that long.
So question, that doesn't impact any current parking changes that we got?
Correct.
Okay.
It does not.
Yeah,
So
we've got stuff ongoing, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can still look into making changes now?
Absolutely, and there are things that we're doing now in the city that the way we'll write it in is that the consultant we bring on board will just have to continue analyzing those things on a rolling basis as they're doing the rest of the work. So they can give us recommendations on whether or not we're making the right call with those changes while they're doing their comprehensive study.
Go to Charlotte and see how they solve their problem. They all have
Why
parking.
don't we?
Can I go to Charlotte?
Why don't we make
Thank you.
Councilman Yoder.
Why don't we make it smarter? They have probably like a 4 or 5 different phase to conduct the survey.
Yes.
Then every phase they finish that, can we get the copy of the report?
Absolutely.
So we will be same page with them, okay?
Yes, so we are requiring technical memoranda for each task that they complete, so we'll be sure to share that with the council as they're complete.
Okay, please, thank you.
I just want to add one quick thing very quickly. Councilman Bogiano, you mentioned how many people in this room can tell us what the parking problems are.
I can name you a couple more.
But how many could tell us that we charge the right rates at our parking meters, that we have the right amount of parking meters, what's fair to the businesses?
We're opening up,
I'm sorry, but that's the type of, I just want to say. No, he likes numbers. We want the numbers.
No, we need to get through this. This is like a long agenda.
All we need are parking garages spread throughout.
Yeah, so Andrew and Joe, both of you. Come on up.
Yeah, keep going, okay, just what do you got?
So Mark, are you leaving?
I could,
Are you sticking around? I just wanted to talk about Vision Zero a little bit before
sure,
you leave.
yeah, no problem.
But we want to get through this stuff.
She's got to travel. She's got to travel. Take a train.
Oh, okay. Item number 1 on my agenda is Z34. Z34.
Okay, let me read that. If I can fumble to the next page, or actually the page thereafter. C34 is ratifying the submission of a grant application and the authority to execute the grant agreement with the New Jersey Department of Transportation under the 2019 Local Freight Impact Fund Program for the City of Jersey City.
Okay, this is a highly competitive program. It's approximately a third of what the original local aid program amount was. Last year was about $32 million. We were not selected for funding. We submitted an application, bless you, for roughly $5.5 million to completely reconstruct the roadway from Route 185 at the foot of Linden Avenue East, all the way up through the circle at the entrance to Liberty State Park by the Liberty Diner, Burma Road, the Bayview entrance, and all of the streets inside of the industrial area, because the only streets that qualify that are under Jersey City ownership jurisdiction is that area that would qualify for this freight-related grant. So we're going to just hopefully with your approval, apply until we get it. I think we can all agree that that area is in need of proper sidewalk/bike access for a lot of the workers that don't have vehicles. Right. As well as the roadway itself and the drainage, exactly. That's all
Questions,
included.
Council? No?
Thank
So Joe, just on this, I mean, this is fine. With regard to this local freight impact, I know it's not our road, Route 440, but is this something in partnership with DOT that we could get funding to move that one along?
With this particular program, no, because it's meant for the owning jurisdiction, and it's really for local jurisdictions. I don't recall that counties are even eligible for it. I think it's
Is that county or state?
This is offered by the state.
No, I'm saying Route 440.
Oh, no, Route 440 is completely state.
Yeah.
But the reason why that doesn't qualify is because it's not completely our jurisdiction. What I was getting at was the fact that that section of roadway, meeting the minimum number of heavy truck traffic under our jurisdiction completely, is the only way that we qualify for that particular grant. 440, we have a few other options, actually, since we last spoke.
Okay.
There's been at least one other program that opened up at the TPA level, which is federal funding. We're not giving up on that, and we're trying to knock down the doors of some of the legislators to help us as well.
Since we're on this, I'm going to be very quick about this, because I don't want to open up a huge conversation. But we've got a new Congress. I think I mentioned this in past meetings. That there's a possibility that there'll be huge infrastructure funds. We need to be shovel-ready and ready to jump on all the funding opportunities that the feds are going to put out there. And so I just put that out there as a, let's go get it.
Yeah, no, if anything, we've renewed fervor on our end. We share in that. My next item is Z51. So I'd like to just first off say that this contract, I decided that it'd be best that we go with a combined contract because both projects are on an exact parallel path, time-wise, number one. Number two, funding is available for both. You all approved funding for the Newark Avenue Pedestrian Plaza for the proper construction thereof. The MUA has committed. We're waiting on the formal written documentation. They've committed $500,000 towards green infrastructure, which we all understand every drop of stormwater that we can take out of the combined sewer and put into the ground directly is less for the ratepayers to pay and great for the environment and also great for the flooding, to diminish the flooding that we currently experience. This is essentially 6 phases. This is everything from design to bidding to full construction management up through ribbon cutting for both projects. Total of 6 phases, 4 large ones, 2 small ones. Comparatively, if this was to be broken out as 2 separate projects, we would have paid approximately 5 to 7% more. And the reason being, while the labor staff is in the city working on one, a lot of times to round out the day, they can actually split it much more easily amongst the 2 projects and take care of 4 hours on one, for example, and 4 hours on the other. That's the main reason why we combine them, and I truly feel this is the right way to go with this project to meet the timelines that we want, which is hopefully by the late fall of next year, ribbon cut on both.
So Fulton Avenue Park has to be redesigned?
There is no design. Well, there's a design, so let me explain.
I thought I saw it, but I could have missed it, I don't know.
Okay, so here's where we are. There's a design based on a certain dollar amount that we had available maybe 2 years ago.
Okay.
For the exact location where it sits now, behind that large apartment-type building, catty corner with the Bethune Center.
Right.
If you recall, I had presented and notified you that I was coming forward with this shortly after. We had the idea to transfer the park to directly across the street from the Bethune Center.
Correct. I remember her.
Because it's much more conducive for festivals, summer programming, which is wildly popular these days, especially in Asbury Park. They've had an award-winning program similar to this. And we could relocate the parking to the L-shaped
property, which is not as conducive, site layout-wise, to a safe, round-the-clock environment with bright lighting, cameras, visual ability to view the park after hours from the street. Policing is a lot easier and whatnot. One other thing we're looking at is possibly the property directly across the street from that one on the southeast corner of Fulton and MLK. 2 vacant properties, possibly purchasing that with CDBG money as well, and add a little bit more overflow parking a little closer to the building. And of course, that would all be in addition to designating these spots directly along the Bethune Center as handicap with the proper ramps in between the parallel spaces.
So how long is this going to take? Because I know Fulton Avenue, they've been waiting for at least 3 years.
So,
At least 3 years.
So I will say this, the original design was for largely passive park. This is going to be a full passive and active recreation type park. We're talking about things like a performing arts stage, a mural wall, perhaps 2 age group playground, a potential splash pad, things of that nature, a lawn panel, plenty of passive seating, meandering courtyards, things of that nature. So the vision here is that we would have a robust, perhaps, musical program throughout the summer at Bethune Center, where the children and the attendees can spill out into the park and have large events where we close the street and now fill the entire area with people, the park and the street, playing towards the building. A more centralized type park.
Okay.
Part of this is unlimited meetings, because we do anticipate many community meetings, both for the plaza and for Fulton Avenue Park, as much community input as possible.
It's going to have to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We were prepared for that. We were prepared for that.
It has to.
Yep.
So,
There's
Council
no
President?
Okay.
Hey, hold on, this is Ward F.
Go ahead.
Ward F and Ward E.
This is Ward F and E.
No, just
E.
Ward F and Ward E.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Fulton.
Council
Fulton's
President?
F.
Yes,
I'd
Councilman.
like to ask that the business administrator and Joe Kuno, if we see that the documentation provide a master consulting company, page 10 of 30. Can you look at it?
I'm sorry, what was the
Page 10 of 30.
Which one are we looking at?
You want to look at page 10 of the document?
Yeah.
Oh, the full
Page 10
proposal.
document, yes. If we see that,
51.
Page 10 of 30.
51.
Yeah.
I don't apologize. I actually have it on my phone.
10 and 30 is the fees?
yes, schedule of the fee. We have to be, I think, we better be same page as council and the business of the Joe Kuno's city engineer. We're gonna make a contract $438,000 consulting. We're gonna pay for the 2 projects, Fulton and the pedestrian project. So now, if we see the phase 1, we're gonna pay 8,500. Go down to phase 7.
Okay.
Contract documented. But now, even though we finish the contract documented, because if the city outside we talk about, if his fund is not available, so they cannot provide the beach service, construction, automation, so and so, then what happens? Still, we're gonna pay $438,000, gonna provide service of phase 10, doesn't matter over the time and
Right.
Yeah.
or, yeah.
So I know you brought this up for other projects where we
Yeah.
design it and then don't actually build the project because we don't have
It's a
money.
big difference.
So, yeah, we're backing into this and saying to the consultant that here's the money we have, build the park that fits our budget.
I'm sorry?
We're saying to the consultant who's designing this, here's the money we have available, build the park that fits this budget, rather than design whatever you want and then hopefully we can fund it.
So in other words, we're gonna give tip.
You approved capital dollars for the pedestrian plaza earlier this year, and we also have some other funding. Yeah, and we also have some other funding sources for that we're going to try to move in.
Correct.
And then also for Fulton Avenue, we've had funding. It's about $2 million for Fulton.
We're currently in hand, we're about $3 million between the 2 projects, but we also applied for more funding from CDBG, which we're pretty confident we'll get, to round out Fulton Avenue Park.
I think the CDBG fund may qualify for the Fulton Park, But Olympic
Only
City is
Fulton.
funded.
Only Fulton?
Only
Not the
Fulton.
pedestrian
That's
mall.
what I'm saying.
Right.
Pedestrian mall is fully funded as we speak.
But
Yeah,
again,
but-
we're telling the consultant, here's the budget, design the park for this budget, so we're
Based
not.
on our budget, right?
Yes, yes.
So we don't have to delay this service or construction, those things, we don't have to wait.
Don't have
But
to
let me
wait.
ask you this one.
Well, we want community approval, so that's gonna be the longest part.
But let me ask you this one then. Pedestrian project, we put in the capital input dollars as a bond,
Yeah.
$1 million.
Correct.
So in other words, $1 million, maybe phase one, maybe we want to put you more dollars for pedestrian project in downtown. That's what it means?
The current plaza, the way it is now, where it's closed from
No, no.
Jersey down
Yes, so
to Grove.
they're going to create a new pedestrian project. At the next time, when we create, pass a bond for the capital input, we put you allocate $1 million.
$1 million, correct.
That $1 million enough, or what they're going to be creative design based on $1 million?
No, we have 1 million. We have a commitment for another $500,000 from the MUA for the green infrastructure portion of this project. And then we have, for the pedestrian plaza, and then for the contingency, which we typically bid with a contingency, 20%. You'll see everyone that I've done since I've been here has a 20% contingency, which is what's allowed by law. We put it in there, we don't always use it. If we need it, we have it. I have funds for that as well in my budget from some former Newark Avenue streetscape money that is left over. That being said, you're looking at a minimum of a $1.5 million project as we speak for the plaza.
See, Brian, thank you for detailed information posed by Joe Punova, city engineer. Meantime, we spent almost $2 million just to create one block of pedestrian project. We invest city of New Jersey. But meantime, if you come down to Central Avenue, sidewalk condition is a public in danger in Central Avenue. And the city of New Jersey, even parking division, not only fix the front of their entrance of parking lot. And how many laws do we have already?
I could take care of that.
You're gonna
Small
take care of
piece.
that, right?
The apron.
So
Now,
what
the
I'm saying
streetscape.
is that, please, when you spend the money, especially capital improvement dollars, you have to fair, evenly share with each district. Instead, always spend the dollars just a certain one area. I'm not going to say downtown. I'm not going to say a certain area, but you should be shared because of all those capital improvement pay, bond paid by taxpayer of Jersey City. Then we should do somewhere fairness. But when I see that, it's not.
We're doing a parking lot.
Parking lot.
Council President, if you come Central Avenue, look at the behind the broken parking entrance.
You're getting two.
It's dangerous to walk through.
Yeah.
Between the gap, like this much. One of the senior, the fall by, there's a gap, break the face, break the nose.
Yeah. Where exactly is the sidewalk issue?
I'd like to see what Councilman Yun's requesting as a breakdown by ward of capital dollars and where they're.
Sure, we have to be fair because
I'd like to.
people of the down and the heights people pay for the bond, capital improvement, then most of the dollar go to downtown.
So I just want to just quickly touch on Central Avenue itself.
Yeah.
We applied to the DOT. We have $1 million in hand to handle the paving only.
That's for the pay for the street.
Correct. So the sidewalks,
Yeah.
as I've mentioned before, I've reported, we applied for legislative budget, state legislative budget, $7 million for an absolute comprehensive streetscape, top to bottom, new lighting and everything on Central
That's what
Avenue.
we need.
Including the extension all the way down to 139.
Great.
In case in the future we redevelop that commercial
But
district.
where's the money?
We didn't hear back. I'm going to assume that it's dead. However, it's not over yet.
Okay.
The reason why I don't come forward, and I can tell you, please council, approve on the next capital bonding fund round, $7 million for Central Avenue, is because that will be approximately 1/3 of what I asked for last year, which I don't anticipate getting next time. So because of the sheer size of that project, we have found another possible viable route, which is seeking federal funding through the NJTPA specifically for streetscapes.
So just to make sure that, I'm not talking about it because I'm the council height, the pedestrian is in danger by sidewalk Central Avenue. So time to address the issue, please, okay?
Absolutely.
Okay.
All right.
Got it.
I have
You got one more.
One more very quickly.
That's Z57.
Z57, ERFS is a...
Hold on, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I had a
I'm
question
sorry,
on,
Councilman.
So if we approve this contract, obviously you mentioned that there's a limited meeting, a design is in theory agreed upon, does that come back to the council to either look at the design or approve the dollars to fund it? Or the actual construction?
The contracts, so there's going to be a bid involved at some point to do the construction, so that would go to council.
Okay, so
But as far as input on the design, that's fully through the community.
And you, I mean.
And yourself as well, and we're gonna need to lean on you for that, to help with getting everybody out there. And, yeah, that was a key part of this with the unlimited meetings. A lot of times with some of these consultants, that's the hangup. Especially if you only figure 2 and you end up having 5. It could be a tremendous number that sneaks up on you. This way, it's all out there, it's up front, we know exactly what we're doing, what we're paying for.
Okay, great.
This last one is a company called ERFS. They've been handling our PPG-related environmental technical reviews.
That's Z57.
Z57. There was a recurring fund that used to be replenished on an annual basis. That replenishment has run out as of earlier this year. So there are a series of bills that this company, obviously they can't stop in the middle of it. This is the basis of a lawsuit, and as you know, PPG's been a little bit more amenable to working with us of late. It's been a long, arduous process. The Carteret Avenue, Garfield Avenue area, as you know, has progressed significantly in the past few years, and this is just to keep that moving without any hiccups. The next meeting, we will be coming forward with a contract renewal. This takes care of old bills for the year 2018, and this way you will know upfront how much we have set aside. One other key component is this used to be handled in the law department. It's been determined that since that replenishment is not continuing, it makes sense to come out of the capital bonding that you've approved for this exact type of work, which is environmental related. In the capital bonds, and we have the funds, so engineering is going to take over the annual contracts with ERFS. John, would you like to speak?
So this is only handled up through August of 2018, not all of it.
Oh, it's not the full 77. So on the next meeting, we'll handle the rest. And then the new contract for... Correct. Perfect. My apologies. This is the bills through August of 2018.
Okay.
And the balance will be handled in the first meeting of January.
Who's paying for this?
This is the capital bonding that you have approved for the years 18 and 19. It's part of the fund that we have for environmental related studies and services.
Questions, folks? Okay. I don't want to keep Barca too much longer. I know I have a couple of items, but if you can just talk about this Vision Zero.
Sure.
And, so I sat in on the last planning meeting, and quarterly meetings and so forth. Mira was at the one in September, right? And so just want to give, I don't expect you to give an entire update here because it's fairly lengthy and comprehensive, right? And I'm sure Mira is familiar with it as well. So, but if you could just give folks the timetable, because we're getting close to the end on this, so people can be aware of kind of where this is going.
Is there any item on the agenda, Council President?
No.
There's nothing on the agenda.
Thank you.
So this is in relation to the development of the Vision Zero action plan. As you all know, in February of this year, an executive order was signed committing us to Vision Zero. In June of this year, we hired a consultant to help us develop that plan, and we've been working on that ever since. We've been having quarterly task force meetings with various agencies in the city, and that effort is being led by me and Andrew. Last week, we had our 4th quarterly task force meeting where we discussed draft actions and strategies that each agency or each city office would be responsible for in relation to Vision Zero. So what that means is, in order for us to achieve our goal of 0 traffic deaths and severe injuries by 2026, each office is going to be responsible for a specific list of action items based on a high injury network that we've developed. This is a network of streets in Jersey City where the highest amount amounts of crashes and severe injuries are taking place. And what we found from other cities, and our city is very similar, is that usually a very small percentage of the roadway network is responsible for a majority of the crashes. So streets that may come to mind are Communipaw, MLK, 440, Kennedy Boulevard. So this network allows us to focus on those streets where a majority of this is happening, so that all of our efforts in the next few years can revolve around those streets and we can maximize our impact. So the timeline from here on out will be that over the next few weeks, we will start to develop a draft action plan that will list all of those actions and strategies for each agency. It will give a little bit of background into how the data was collected, what the methodology was for creating that network, and what our game plan is essentially moving forward. So on January 17th, we have a final task force meeting scheduled for all of those agencies, which includes a bunch of city offices as well as the BA and the council, to review that draft plan and offer any final comments. A public meeting will be held January 29th in the chambers, and after that we will finalize the plan and present to the municipal council at the February 11th caucus meeting, February 13th council meeting.
So I just wanted to share that, have that shared. I mean, there's nothing on the agenda here, okay?
Council President?
Yes.
You know, you mentioned that, I think your department kept one of the person kept all the record for that the actions based on by the location, you know? And one of the top 5, 2 locations belong to Hyatt. Most is a Summit Avenue. I'd like to see that there's some kind of a Vision Zero in a program that involved the Summit Avenue too. You know that.
That's part of this program.
Yeah.
Yes.
10 location was highways accident location. I think 2-3 places located in Hyatt.
Sure. So what we did is looked at crash data from the past 10 years.
Yes.
And we didn't just look at what we've previously looked at on tools that NJDOT provides us. We had the consultant go through all of the raw data as well as police records to make sure we're getting all of the information from the past 10 years.
So anyways, can you share with the council members so each council member knows exactly what is the highest,
Do you
accident
have,
area?
if I could just, do you have another, besides the final public meeting, is there another opportunity for them to see kind of the compilation of the data and how you compiled that, as well as the maps that you showed, which is very informative on the high injury network?
Sure, we'd be happy to send out all of those boards and materials, and we can come to a caucus meeting and present the information
Council
for
President, I think
the
it's better
data.
to say right, before you complete the report, at least some previous report before complete report, so we know that, so maybe we can add to some, our concern.
So council members, if it pleases them, on January 7th would be our next council meeting, assuming we approve the schedule there. Maybe next caucus, maybe we can do something then around that.
Sure.
And I'm going to share which I shared with Marka at the end of the meeting, I'm not going to recall that, Andrew, if you were right there, you might have been there as well. A number of the respondents and so forth, and I'm not trying to blindside or anything like that here, just raising a concern, which I raised there, which is a number of the respondents, of the 4,000 plus respondents that you had there, many of them coming from downtown and parts of the Heights. I'm concerned about the south side. Just last week, had the meeting on Bram Hall Avenue about some parking issues, and Jennifer Cato was there for traffic. And the ideas that were being proposed, all of them very reasonable and things of that nature, but some of the concerns that there were changes made to parking in the area without kind of people being aware of what was coming down the pipe in that sense. Nobody's fault. I wouldn't point the finger at anyone around that stuff. But when changes are made after 40 years and decades of people being able to park in the same place, and then finally finding out that, 25 feet from the corner or in front of a T intersection is a legal parking spot and so forth, and then just find out when a sign comes up on their street without kind of being informed and notified of these sort of changes, people obviously are resistant to those sort of changes. So my concern is that we haven't had kind of the public outreach. I know the report needs to come out and that there's a timeline here and a schedule. I would ask you to consider, and I'd like to appeal to the South Side council people, wards A, B, and F, and at-larges, about doing one unified, like, large meeting, public meeting around this, to be able to make sure that the South Side kind of has a more meaningful input prior to that final public meeting in some way, and be able to get that input. I'm not sure if we can get people to turn out. We've tried, I think, in many respects. I think, I know Councilperson Prinzarias with Hank Gallo done some work around that. But I think maybe if we can do something more unified to try to pull it together around that.
Yeah, if I could, I'll just summarize what outreach efforts have been done thus far. So we've, what you're alluding to the heavily downtown and heights focused responses have been largely through an interactive map we have online on the Vision Zero website, where you can drop points on a map and give location-specific feedback. And that's been great because we've got thousands of responses, but when we took a first look at it, we saw that all of the data points on the map were concentrated around, as the council president said, downtown, Heights, some around Journal Square. So from that, we made a decision that we need to get input from the rest of the city, and we actually had our consultant hold all of the in-person outreach events where they either went to National Night Out and had a table and engaged people, or there were public information centers held away from downtown to give people an opportunity to be able to speak to us and get the information out. So we were at National Night Out at Arlington Park, Audubon Park, and Pershing Field, and then we were also at All About Downtown, and then we did public information centers, public information sessions at the Gallo Center, at Bethune Center, and at Dickinson High School. So we really have been focusing all of those in-person efforts away from downtown. Since we're hearing a lot from the downtown residents and the Heights residents that they find it convenient to give feedback online. It's just easier than having to come out to a meeting. And then we hear from the rest of the city that they want the in-person. They want to be able to interact and see a presentation. So that's been our approach. We've also made sure that all of the materials that we've put out have been available in 5 languages. So that's Arabic, English, Hindi, Spanish, and Tagalog. And you know, equity is one of the biggest parts of the Vision Zero action plan. So we'll make sure that we do everything we can to maximize participation and attendance for the final public meeting, and we'll look into what we can do for one last push for another part of the city. We'll have that conversation with the
So I think ultimately we need is like a door-to-door effort on this.
Sure.
Barbara, to report, before final report, we would like to have a copy of that.
Yeah.
Number 2, I'd like to have a report by action, report by location. Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Has Vision Zero brought up the fact that we're a major city with a major police department that has no traffic division? We don't have any traffic police in the city. And that's one of the reasons we're having all these problems.
It is.
Enforcement's a large part of Vision Zero.
It is. Enforcement's a large part of it.
And for 4 years, I've been after them to bring back the motorcycles, bring back our traffic division, and they have ignored it.
You're on point.
And that's your problem.
That will be in the action plan to establish or improve upon the traffic safety unit.
You're going to get a chance to crow and chirp, Councilman. You just give
What do you say?
You're going to get a chance to crow and chirp when this thing is finally released.
Sure. So this is just the beginning. We're only establishing the plan right now. In order to get to 2026 and do all of the projects that we're going to have to do to reduce these crashes on the high crash corridors, there will be projects, roadway reconstruction projects, and a large community outreach component where we'll continue to do outreach in all parts of the city, because we've noticed that the high injury network really does touch every neighborhood of the city. It's not that it's just in one portion of the city, so it's absolutely not the case that the outreach and the public engagement is going to stop once the action plan is developed. It's only going to start then, and it's going to be a continued effort for the next 7 years.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You can go home.
Thank you, Councilman.
Okay.
Didn't bother you today.
We've got a couple of things for Andrew here.
Thanks.
Okay? We have a couple of ordinances for Andrew, which is 3C and 3D. 3C is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Article 3, amending Section 332-22 of the Jersey City Code, designating 75 feet on the east side of Garfield Avenue, north of 55th Street, as no parking anytime.
This is an area on Garfield Avenue near the City Line Shopping Center across the street from the bowling alley there that is notorious for having commercial vehicles parked there. We've coordinated with Director Peretti on targeted enforcement of that area, and the issue is still there. So all we're doing is restricting parking for 75 feet south of the driveway closest to the Wendy's, if you're familiar with the shopping center, to allow for an improved sight distance or line of sight for motorists exiting the driveway. Because the commercial vehicles parking too close to that driveway is a safety concern.
Oh, yeah. But Councilman, where they at this moment?
What's that?
Councilman knows that this woman.
She's right here, Councilwoman.
Yeah.
Oh, you know them?
No,
Okay.
Denise.
Any questions?
No.
And 3D?
3D is an ordinance that converts a portion of Clendenny Avenue to one-way eastbound from Marcy Avenue to Route 440. The purpose of this is to eliminate the gridlock that's created by motorists essentially shortcutting all of the queue of vehicles waiting to make a left turn from northbound 440 towards Newark, towards the city of Newark. Essentially what happens is they try to make a right turn to get into the innermost two left turn lanes, preventing the through vehicles from continuing along northbound Route 440. So we had some preliminary discussions with NJDOT to extend the concrete median that's there to physically prevent that movement from being possible. They denied our request due to maintenance issues, and so this is one mechanism that we thought would be an equally effective way of addressing that behavior.
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? You want to say something about that, Councilman?
Oh, yeah, no, this is great. I know you guys have been working on this for a long time, and it's been a big pain point with traffic on the corridor. Councilman Ridley had shared similar concerns in some of her public meetings. And also as an update, there was another meeting with some of the assembly people, some of the county freeholder, and well, Senator Cunningham couldn't make it, so we sent her minutes to that meeting, and they're coming up with some additional plans to make sure that people don't cut through the IHOP parking lot as well. So, and I know Assemblyman Chirvalotti and Assemblywoman McKnight are presenting legislation to don't block the box in the jug handle on 440. So some people are a little upset that they're not going to have the time to cut through, but I think that in the end, this is a much better, more viable way to keep traffic moving there. Because I almost got hit the other day again. So,
wow.
Yeah, because they'll come out and you're also turning into the lane where people are going to turn onto community park.
Right.
So that's an added level as well. So, yeah. Councilwoman, do you have anything to say?
You summed it up, just anything we can do to make 440 better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Make it a pedestrian plaza.
This coming Wednesday, 11 o'clock, we have a meeting, right?
That's correct.
Just to make sure.
Okay. You got Z12.
Correct. 10Z12 is a resolution to extend our current contract with General Electric, which is the company that maintains our traffic signals. It would extend the contract for 3 months while we solicit and receive bids.
Could you tell them to coordinate the lights so you don't stop every block, especially in the heights?
That's on me.
Baldwin Avenue, I mean, I've called Monty 50,000 times.
Green lights
I
for
just forwarded you an
Councilman.
email.
I'm sorry?
I think I forwarded you an email about someone from Ward B was telling me that the lights need to be, like, check the traffic, the
Timing of?
timing of the lights and all that.
Synchronized.
Okay.
Yeah, because they do them lights.
All right, I'll take a look at that.
So Andrew,
Yes.
instead of we give the 1 year's contract, we're gonna give the 3 months contract. So in other words, you guys gonna get time, 3 months, to prepare for the proper bid, right?
Exactly right.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, thank you.
But you know that we pay like 1.2 is a lot of money. $1.2 million is a lot of money.
All right, gentlemen, Greg and Bob, back to back, and then we'll finish with DPW. Okay. Greg, you're up. Greg has 10Z25, 10Z26. Mark, I'm sorry, I didn't, oh, I see yours, okay. We got quite a bit, okay.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the City Council. Earlier this afternoon, I forwarded you each an email with a memorandum explaining both of these proposed resolutions. Z25 181102, a resolution will authorize the Office of Emergency Management, Homeland Security, enter into a contract with Verizon Wireless Cellco Partnership for wireless device and cellular service for the Emergency Operations Center and all associated entities, to include the mobile command vehicle, mass care rehab vehicle, mobile pro surveillance cameras, Skywatch surveillance tower, Jersey City Police bombs command vehicle, Jersey City Police, Jersey City River Ops vessel, and a Jersey City Fire Seaburn vessel.
Okay, council, questions on this one? No questions, next item.
Resolution Z26 181103. This resolution will authorize the purchase of 150 portable radios and peripherals for use by the member of the Jersey City Police Department from PMC Associates under New Jersey State Contract T0109-83932 in the amount of $333,000 funded through the FY18 UASI grant. Price quotes received from Motorola and PMC Associates relative to this matter. Motorola submitted a quote for 140 radios and peripherals at the amount of $384,542.55. PMC Associates supplied a written quote of the amount of $333,300, providing 150 portable radios and associated peripherals, resulting in a savings of $51,242.55. Jersey City Emergency Communications Director Robert Baker conducted a test of the proposed radio, a Tate Harris TP9400 portable P25 compliant Phase 2 capable radio, found it to meet or exceed the comparable radio proposed by Motorola, and recommended the purchase of the proposed units.
This is 150 units for the new police officer, well, the 150 units to replace it to what we have now.
Yes.
To
Some of the
replace.
radios we have, Councilman Bob can speak to on this, virtually have overrun their service time. Some of the new software, the radios are not operating. So what we're doing is phasing out the old radios, replacing these, and we'll continue this program as we have enough radios.
So then, what happened that the older, that the Motorola, we to give to some trading, anything like we're just dump it? How we do it?
If the older radios are not compliant with the use with the system due to upgrades, they're virtually rendered useless. Bob, you can comment on that.
What we've been doing, Councilman, is the older radios we move to lesser, departments that, are not like life safety. So there are 3,333 radios in the city of Jersey City that go to Bishop Street. So we've given to, we give to DPW, we give to Health, we gave to Meals on Wheels, it goes on. They need, that we even gave to the Stan Easton's group when they're out filming too, that they have radios. So we keep using them. It's just that they're way past their extended life. We've purchased parts that we're repairing them on site. We don't send them out anymore. So we actually have a tech center down at Bishop Street where you come in with your radio and we replace it right then and there. But we keep recycling.
So recycle, so in other words, when you recycle, they have to use a different frequency, I guess, right?
Yes.
Mills will not going to be interference of police. We need to, so we're not just dump it, we recycle. So we have,
individual toll booths.
Yeah, okay.
This is the radar, I'll tell you. I rode over this with my truck, I was told to. I threw it against the wall. I've thrown it on the floor because it has military specs. And it's met and exceeded almost everything. My hearing is extremely bad. I'm deaf on one side, 70% here. And I don't even put this a quarter of the way, and I hear this.
Give it to a 5-year-old.
I was getting ready to say that.
It's a superior radio.
So as long as it's not with junk that we recycle for the other department to use it. No problem, good job.
Okay, wishing everybody a happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Folks, we have Z27 to 30 for Bob Baker. Z27 to Z30.
C-27 is a resolution authorizing a contract to Millennium to repair the cameras that are located inside the Bishop Street facility. The cameras are over 10 years old, they're analog. They're not compatible, of course, with the upgrade that we've done through the entire city. And what I'm looking to do is put in now high-definition cameras to monitor, take it off the old servers, move it onto the city servers, and upgrade the software.
Questions, council? Questions, anyone?
I'm sorry, when you say Bishop Street, these are cameras?
Internal and external around the facility.
Okay, so the protection for the Bishop
Yes.
Street.
Yes.
Okay, and this is funded out of the city budget, not out of the grants? Okay.
Why are not operating dollars utilized for this as opposed to, I mean, capital dollars?
No, this is actually coming out of my budget dollars.
Yeah, why not use capital dollars?
Right, not capital.
Why?
Why not?
I was able through the entire year to save here and there for the council and stuff, and when we came to the end of the year in that particular time, this is something we always wanted to do, and I was able to do it this year versus to try to put it on capital expenditure and burden the city's budget in 2019.
The capital dollars, I mean, it's what allows us to spread the cost out over time, right? So, as opposed to taking it all in one hit. Am I missing something?
That's fair.
So,
But this wasn't funded in capital, so.
you don't have the capital dollars.
Right. That's fair enough.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, what else you have?
28 is replacement of the UPS batteries at Bishop Street. They've exceeded their life expectancy. We actually have one bank of batteries that's dead. So instead of having a 2.5-hour battery backup to do an orderly shutdown, if we ever needed to do it, we now have about 45 minutes. So we're looking to replace approximately 120 batteries.
So my question is that while this place has a generator system, and still we need the power backup system by battery?
Yes, what happens is, a UPS system happens that the entire building sees power through the batteries.
Okay.
It doesn't see it through the generator, it doesn't see it through the power grid of the city. So what happens if someone cut the power to my building, my building does not see the power blip because it's always fed through the batteries. Now the generator kicks over. The generator takes about 4 minutes to reach enough speed to provide us with 60 cycles of pure power to go. So the batteries are one of the most critical parts of the UPS system. So, the actual building doesn't know whether it's on generator or it's on city power. It's always fed through the batteries through the entire.
So in other words, the UPS system, fill the gap between regular power and generator.
Yes.
That's what it is.
And pure filtered power.
What kind of generator? Is it gas or diesel?
It's a diesel.
Diesel. It's more stabilized. provide frequency, right?
Yeah, during Sandy, that generator, before being refueled, supplied the building for a week and a half of constant running.
So to generally get enough power, it take how many minutes? 4 minutes? Take 4 minutes to?
To get to speed, yes.
Yeah. I see. Okay.
Okay, next item. Z29, it's a contract to Value Added Voice Solutions LLC for radio communications equipment and accessories under state contract for the Department of Public Safety Communications Center.
This is replacing the Caucus system. The Caucus system, by Attorney General guidelines, we record every transmission that's made on the police and fire side, of course for Oprah and in investigations, also phones in the district. So if you're talking to a judge for probable cause or obtaining one's warrants, those must be recorded. The system we have now dates back to Erie Street, 8 Erie. It's almost 14 years old. It's analog. It does not support the new voice over internet phone system that we have. And right now, for 2019, my maintenance contract on that old system is $59,000. This system will pay for itself in less than 3 years. And is a state-of-the-art next generation system.
Okay. Okay, questions?
What's the annual service on this new one contract?
All included, I got 3 years covered on it.
Okay, so this is a 3-year contract. Okay, got it.
Thank you.
Okay, your next item is 10Z30.
30 is our standard renewal of one of our cybersecurity software packages. We do this every year. It expires the 31st of December, so we just want to maintain the coverage to keep our protection.
Okay, questions about this?
No.
Okay. Thank you. And Law Department, I just want to say thank you for, after 10 years of doing this and you think you know all the verbiage and everything going, thank you for all the help.
Mr. Baker, we're getting all new police radios, right?
Not all new, but
How many we get?
150.
150.
And then I probably replaced about 60 of other Motorola newer ones from the 15 and 2500s that we used to use.
We know that you did a great job.
Thank you.
Happy holidays, Bob.
Okay.
Merry Christmas, Bob.
Yes, Merry Christmas, everybody. Thank you.
So DPW, who wants to go first? Marty jumps right in there. Of course. Right. Come on, Marty. Marty Valenti has Z14 to Z17 and Z31. I'm sorry to keep you guys waiting.
No problem. First of all, council members, I'd like to just offer my apologies for failing to make our last caucus. I know we had quite a number of vehicle purchases on with quite a number of questions. Unfortunately, my little guy took ill and was in the hospital for several days, so that kind of took me away. But again, my sincere apologies for not being able to.
Is that okay?
Thank God everything worked out. Okay, so
C14 is Samuel's Inc., trading as Bywise Auto Parts for non-OEM automotive parts and accessories for light-duty vehicles under state contract.
correct. So Samuel's trading as Bywise. These are some of our standard yearly renewals. This is we purchase our non-OEM parts for our entire city fleet of on the light duty side. So everything from the police cars all the way on up to the vans and sport utilities and things of that nature.
So, can I ask a quick question? I'm going to ask a very simple question. How many auto repair technicians working under the unit?
Auto repair technicians?
Yeah.
On both sides of the aisle, as I'm going to call it, you got a total of 12.
12. So now, let me ask this one, because this is my concern all the time. If we see that Z14, we talk at $200,000, that auto part going to purchase. Z15, $500,000. Z16, another 50. and the Z70 another $870,000. So we're gonna purchase almost $1.6 million part for gonna be conduct repair car by 20 people. Plus, we do outsourcing repair job, private company, city or bay here and there. So when I see that approximately we spend $4 to $5 million just to maintain the auto vehicle what we have. So now, when you spend the $5-6 million just to repair auto and the repairing maintenance, I'd like to know how many compliance officers your department have. When you say that the repair shop say, we gotta change a part, when they change a part, we gotta pay for part and repair. Something can be repairable, instead of repair, when you repair, they have to pay only charge of labor. But when they say change a part means we gotta pay part plus labor. So now, we spend almost $2 million for, this is not include tire, $2 million a part, plus when we outsourcing for the other car repair shop, we pay part and the labor. You know, we spend close to $5 million or $6 million, probably more than that, and we don't have to, your department, go out to business site, make sure they change a part, and make sure they proper labor time they charge, or they don't have to change a part, just repair require, but they change the part. We gotta do something that kind of auditing system. Even though we spend $4 or $5 million, and your department has no person to go out actually auditing all those facts. So Brian, this is my concern. You should be, as the most innovative guy in the city hall, you gotta think about those things. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because this is not include tire another $300,000-400,000, and we have no person to go up actually auditing all those things. And not only that, when you purchase almost $2 million a part, who actually inventory check all those parts?
Yeah.
I'm scratching my head.
Yeah.
Because we have 1,000 vehicles, we spend $5 million per year, and we only 20 people working, and we're going to spend like a $2 million part to repair. Numbers doesn't match well. You know what I'm saying? You do a great job, we all know that. You know what I'm saying? But still, when I pass in Central Avenue, I see a police car sit on the car repair shop. I mean, you gotta look into the matter, because we find ourselves revenue source for the city is very important, but also we should be not waste the taxpayers' dollars.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really insist one more time this issue. I brought it many times about time as a business. You should take some action. I'm not going to tell any letters I received. I'm pretty sure some council people received the letters about those auto parts, so and so. I have a major concern. You know, order to control that the $2 million, $3 million part we purchase, they have the special computer system and the inventory guy to check all those things by daily basis.
Yeah.
We doing that? And how open we do inventory check for the auto part? When we pay for the tire, XYZ tire company, for certain tire, $200, $300, really they pay putting the tire that what we pay for. Or they put in the low branded tire. It's a big difference based on a brand, you know what I'm saying? So are all those things, you know? So please, business about time to look into, you know?
That was a simple, quick question.
The answer is yes.
So yeah?
He does inventory.
You know what?
Yeah, so there's a few things we have going on. I can answer quickly.
Right.
So we've actually been meeting weekly with automotive to talk about how to best manage the fleet, and we're focusing on snow right now because that's an urgent matter for us. We're talking about 5-year plans. We're talking about fleet management. We're looking at new software to help us manage all this stuff. And you're right, like an inventory management system that will assign inventory to the vehicles. But more importantly, making sure we're doing preventative maintenance. And you're right about the mechanics. We're trying to hire more. We're actively trying to recruit more now. So if you have any residents that you know of that are looking for mechanic jobs, we are hiring. immediately. So
Brian, even though we want to hire more mechanic to repair car mechanic,
yeah.
maybe we don't not enough of bay station to bring up the car to repair.
We
So
are,
just hire the people is not an answer.
yeah.
Because our capacity to repair shop, our repair, city of Jersey repair shop, enough, not enough, what are they called, the bay to bring
Yeah,
up the car?
so we're looking at running the bays longer with different shifts that are staggered
Okay.
over the day. So instead of just doing everyone 7 to 3 or whatever the time is, starting at 3 and then doing a night shift and that sort of thing. So all day long at some point.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Councilman
I just want to be clear here, you know, I don't think it's the bays, you know, that we're having a problem with. I think it's what we pay these mechanics.
Fair.
That's what we're having a problem with, so nobody's going to come here and work for X amount of dollars.
That is another item on the agenda that Mark's going to talk about later.
Okay, great.
But yeah.
So we got to come up some comprehensive plan.
Yeah.
You know,
But
to
a couple other things. So these contracts are also, so that's the top limit for the contracts. It doesn't mean we're definitely spending that much money. It's just authorizing up to that amount.
Yes.
And the amount here is $1 million, but we have, it's like, the total fleet is $80 million or $100 million worth of vehicles. It's 1,370 vehicles or something like that. So it's, you know, we're spending a lot, but we have a very large fleet to manage.
Very large fleet, very dated fleet.
And, yeah, it's old,
Total
so
fleet?
it's about 13.
Actually closer to 15.
Okay.
So now this is what it is.
I know.
This one, when we purchase a part, more like a light vehicle. Heavy duty, fire truck, so and so, we outsourcing to repair it.
Yeah, a lot of that, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So when you see the total numbers, huge really.
I don't think they outsource a lot of the fire vehicles. They get outsourced, correct me if I'm wrong, when they fall under the.
On fire vehicles, very few fire vehicles get outsourced.
Right.
Repairs on fire vehicles. The only thing you'll see be sent out for a fire vehicle repair might be if you have to do an engine job, which obviously doing an engine on a truck is a very labor intense, time consuming. Just to take our fire division mechanics, I currently have one full-time mechanic strictly working on fire, and the second one, who was, I believe, a 40-year veteran of the city, recently retired, and we brought him back as a seasonal to keep us out, because we're trying to find trained personnel to come in. I mean, a fire mechanic is not a specialty in itself. I mean, you just don't need to know what to repair. You need to know how the pumps work, how the PTO system, the power takeoff system works. So they're very interested. And again, like Councilman Rivera said, we need to be competitive with salaries.
And I don't mean to keep on being a dead horse, like he just said that. Personally, the mechanics that the fire department do have, like Marty was saying, they are engaged there every single day, and you see the rigs outside, and they're working with. My personal, I think maybe sometime down the road, I think we should, as a council, consider putting the mechanics in the fire department into the fire department system. You know, working under their budget, because that might bring up their salary and give them an incentive to stay there, because they're very underpaid. They can go anywhere within the county and anywhere within the state and almost make double.
And that speaks actually, of course, for all mechanics, really.
I'm dumb, so I don't
Okay.
know that much well.
Yeah.
Probably you work
Okay.
in many years. I wish you come out next council meeting, not next, I mean, when you talk your budget meeting, I like to come out some plan to some improve the, you know, that your department division to save some dollars, you know. So very simple.
All right.
Okay?
Before we move on, Z14, what's a light-duty vehicles?
Light duty vehicles go from as small as the parking authorities, parking enforcement scooters, up to SUVs, minivans.
Can you just give me a list of the inventory of that stuff and the number of your vehicles each?
Yeah, a total number, I can give you a list of the fleet.
I mean, like, what qualifies as light duty? Like, that's what I'm asking.
We go basically under 10,000, we look at it under 10,000 registered weight. So it would be minivans,
So,
vans.
council president will know, simply, if it's a light-duty vehicle, just under 10,000, he want to know, I want to know, inventory, how many SUV, belong to the light duty vehicle, how many minivans we have, so and so. So we at least knows that, what is a light duty vehicle, how many we have, what is a heavy duty vehicle.
So
So we
police
can
car,
show us that.
yes.
All right?
That's why they need inventory. They need,
Yeah.
they have to develop that because they know this by the top of their head. but
We're
it's
in the
not
process,
written
I
nowhere.
mean,
That's the problem.
I'm only just recently celebrated 1 year of being the director of automotive, so I'm trying to get a lot done. The inventory control, the fleet management software, that's gonna be able to enhance what I do. So once, I get that in place and we've finalized it, we've looked at a few of them, we've got it down to 1 or 2 vendors right now that we're finalizing specifics on. I expect hopefully by the second January meeting, if not the first February meeting, to have in front of you the award of a fleet management system would make what you're asking for very simple and easy
Yeah,
to do.
they can't do
So,
it.
because the reason I heard that one of the stories that sometimes they order part, they order wrong part.
Right, that was it. He gave us the answer. He did.
So please, do some
That's it.
inventory things.
Has to, has to.
Can I ask a question on the term of this contract? When I was looking through the documents, it said, I guess the original contract was awarded February 26th, 2014, and the second extension period was 2/26/18 to 2/25/19, but the first page listed as a January 1st to December 31st, 2019. So just wondering what the term of the
The
contract.
term of the contract is January 1 through December 31st.
Okay, so this document here, amendment to contract period.
No, that contract, it refers to the state contract award.
Okay, gotcha.
So we're awarding this contract based on what the state contract is. That basically requires us to do, where we don't have to go out, put a bid spec together, and go out to public bid for that. The state contract allows us to do purchasing a lot easier.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you for clarifying.
Okay. What else you got?
Next one is Z15, which is one contract to city auto repair for purchase of heavy-duty parts.
Okay, any questions about this?
It's the same thing, sir.
Same thing.
Happy with the loss.
Okay, Z16.
16 is a contract with Van Dyne Motors for snowplow parts specific to our plows. They are a state contract vendor where we get, we run a fleet of 80 units with plows on them. So this is one of the vendors that supplies this original equipment parts for those specific plows.
Okay, questions? No. None? Z17 is another contract, Northeast Auto and Truck Parts.
Truck parts.
For heavy-duty vehicles.
Also for heavy-duty vehicles.
What's heavy-duty?
Heavy-duty street sweepers, roll-offs. Some of the bigger trucks that you see following the street sweepers. The bigger trucks that have the plows on them. It's pretty much 15,000 pounds and up. Fire trucks. The fire trucks is considered heavy-duty. All of the emergency services vehicles, the recreation buses, health and human services buses. So it's basically all of the large items. Anything that would, outside of what we would normally drive, would be considered heavy duty.
What's the difference between the two contracts, Z15 and Z17?
They're 15 and 17 are just two different vendors. Allows us to have flexibility. If one vendor doesn't have a part that we need, we could get it at another vendor.
Okay. Any other questions on that? No? Z31?
Z31.
Open-end contract to Dave's Transmission, Zolan Corporation, and Jack Service to provide light automotive repairs for the Department of Public Works Division of Automotive Maintenance.
So this goes back to Councilman Young, your question where we send out a lot of cars out to all these different vendors, the smaller stuff. So what we finally got around to doing earlier this year was going out to public bid for light auto repairs. So right now, we're replying to 3 Jersey City vendors for light auto repairs of our majority of our police fleet. So that's what the Z31 is in front of you for.
Z31, right?
Right.
And Jack's is in the Heights.
Jack Service Center's up on Thornton Summit, Zolan Caucus on Dampton Boulevard, and Dave's Transmissions on Central and I believe Waverly.
And And we've used all of these before?
Yes, these are all current vendors that we use. They are the only 3 vendors that did bid. Originally, we were using upwards of almost 7 to 8 bidders. Only 3 of them showed up and submitted bids.
So, have we expended on this in the past? Like, what do we expend in these vendors in the past?
What we've expended, you know, I apologize, I don't have that number in front of me. I originally ran by your own folder, but we're spending significant amounts. So the contracts that they award was days for like $240,000. The Zola called for $285, and Jack's for $350. So those are based on hourly rates and parts. So we could spend, you know, you're talking $285, you're talking close to, you know, a little over $600,000-$700,000. Depending on the year we have repairs, and, you know, again, our fleet now is a year older. So the older the vehicles, you know, the more we use them. You know, again, I mean, I've stated this over and over. Our police fleet is the bulk of our light duty auto repairs.
Can you give me a breakdown for past contracts for these folks? How much they spent?
Yep.
Any questions, anyone?
It's a big difference, right? Our rates is some place charges 47, this guy charges 75.
Right.
Oh, God. And the mature markers, one guy is at 10%, and they want a 25%. I mean, those kind of companies we should not consider as alternate number 2. We should start the bid again for, you know.
Only three responded.
Well, if we reach out, we probably get to find, because there were so many motor vehicle repair shop in Jersey
We
City.
did, Councilman, I reached out to several, you know, one of our own directors down there did reach out to specific vendors. I mean, I don't know why they didn't bid. Trust me, the more they bid, the easier it is for me. Now I'm refined to 3 vendors for the work, so the work's gonna take longer because it's gonna be out of service for them. But purchasing has been on our back, from what I understand, for quite some time to get some type of light auto repair bid in place. And again, this is only for a year. We have options on it. We could, you know, do aggressive, you know, to the latter part of 19, do an aggressive campaign, try to solicit more, you know, outside vendors within the city to bid on it. But also, in the same token, like to keep a lot more work on inside, if we have the ability to work with the business administrator to hire more mechanics, try to bring that number down, as like you asked.
Will the number, let's say, will the number go over? Let's say they go over 241,000. Would you have to come back?
Yes,
To
we
the
would have to
council?
come back in front of you, ask for an amended resolution to increase the dollars amount. And again, that is a possibility. You know, the initial number amount is just based on, we came up with, I believe it's a 3,000 hour type scenario. So that's what it is. But again, with only 3 vendors,
Yeah.
I hope it doesn't, but, you know, I'm not being overconfident with the safe shape of our fleet.
Because normally you deal with 7 or 8 vendors, and this is the first time you 3.
Originally, there was 1, 2, 3, it was a 7, correct?
You was 7. And so based on these figures, and if you had 7, did you pay out more with the 7?
Yes.
So you presenting with us less now, correct?
Well, what's less
It's
is
gonna be more.
basically what was bid on, based on it, so we have to award it based on that number. You know, we
I can see
gave,
it's
like
gonna
I
come
said,
up.
a 3,000 hour
Yeah.
window of approximate. Again, this is our first time going out to bid for light duty auto repairs, so I'm sure there's gonna be a little things, that's why I said it's only a 1-year contract.
Contract, right.
That allows us, you know, to tweak on our side, when we, you know, go out, you know, this time next year.
Is this the first year we've gone out to bid for this?
Yes.
But we've had these contracts in the past. How did we do it in the past?
I'm sorry?
How did we do these contracts in the past?
Basically creating encumbrances of $15,000, which is why, you know, that was one thing that the purchasing agent said to me when I first took over. You know, he said to me, do me a favor, don't 15,000 me to death. I didn't quite understand what he was referring to until I, you know, got into it and I looked and said, okay, now I understand. So he put us on notice I believe in November, that unless we award a bid, he will not be approving any 15,000 because apparently we've been in violation with the DCA, and that's where, you know, where we're at this point. So
Purchasing counts light auto vehicles as a like item, regardless of which vehicle it is. So that's why we're now trying to comply with the bidding, as opposed to doing it individually. And then those cars that we got approved last time, the 40-something police cars, that should bring this a little bit down because they're new.
it's gonna, you know, again, 40, you got 1,500 vehicles.
Right, it's to me, it's hard to say.
47 cars, you know, it really, you know, doesn't make a significant impact. However, like I said, we are aggressively looking at other means of replacing the fleet, whether it be through grants or whatever. So we, you know, we are working very close with the BA on trying to get, you know, something done.
So you usually go outsource when you have too much work internally?
On average, you know, I mean, on a good weekend, I get maybe 5 or 6 breakdowns on the road. So we bring them in and then we assess them. So if they're small jobs, you know, we're doing them in-house, but because of the amount of cars, you know, just recently, within the last 2 weeks, I've taken 3 2006 Crown Victorias out of service due to the repair cost being astronomical. You know, there are upwards of 200,000 miles on them. They needed upwards of $8,000, $9,000 worth of work. You know, the ends aren't justifying the means.
No, it doesn't, 2006.
You know, and then again, once we get our software in place, that'll be able to track our repairs where we get to the point of saying, okay, we're hitting that number where it's not worth it for us to put any more money in here. Let's purchase a new vehicle.
Okay.
All right.
We have one more, Z32. So Z32 is the second award for another estate contract we have, mainly for medium-duty vehicles. So medium-duty vehicles are the small pickup trucks, you know, small dump trucks that you primarily see with parks and forestry users, buildings and street users, sanitation users, predominantly for plowing side streets for the snow.
Okay, $600,000.
Okay.
The contract amount.
Any questions on Z32?
No. They street.
All right. Thank you, Marty.
Council members, thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Everyone have a happy, healthy holiday.
You too.
Thank you, same to you.
Merry Christmas, Marty. All right, who's up? It's Doug? Steve? Doug.
Yes, Doug has 3 similar ones that are easy. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. Doug has Z18, 19, and 20. Z18 is a contract to Sherwin-Williams for the purchase and delivery of paints and related supplies through the Educational Services Commission of New Jersey, formerly Middlesex Regional Educational Services Commission, for the Department of Public Works Division of Buildings and Streets Maintenance.
This is just for the routine purchase of paint for the city's painters. We buy this through the publicly bidded contract for the Educational Services Cooperative. We buy it through that.
Okay. Next, Z19. It's a month-to-month extension, not to exceed 3 months, effective December 16th, 2018, of a contract with Amber Air to provide HVAC and boiler maintenance for the Department of Public Works Division of Buildings and Street Maintenance.
This is due to go out to bid. I revised the bid specs. Those were sent to the law department and the relevant offices in the city. So we're just waiting for approval to advertise it. In the interim, we're just going to keep the current Amber Air contract in place until we can award the winner of the next bid.
Okay.
So did we pay them by total contract numbers for the whole package? Well, we pay them based on their service.
We pay them by service.
By service.
Yeah.
Okay. And included the annual maintenance is included, right?
Annual maintenance is included. Manufacturer's maintenance on.
So then, can you tell me that how much is the annual maintenance cost, the fixed numbers plus, if they, the way you say we pay by charge by service, then can't you separate what last year we spent $244,985 every year. Can't you break down for $244,000 by how much basic maintenance what we pay by contract and the pay by service? Can you do that for me?
Yeah, we can break that down. I haven't done
Great.
so, but that's a possibility.
Thank you, okay? And also, you know that when we make contract this one, they have a part allowance. I think we give them $80,000 a year part allowance. So in other words, if they buy certain part, you know what I'm saying, they charge from we give them money based on the allowance for $80,000, something like that. Can you find out for me how much part they purchase, the repairing? $80,000 or $30,000, something like that. If you see the 2014 contract with them, it's their very clear spell job, part allowance like $20,000, $30,000.
We have to break down the spending.
Can't you?
Yeah. We'd have to go back to the fiscal office and see how we can break down the spending.
Okay. What else you got? Duncan Hardware to provide hardware supplies for DPW, Division of Buildings and Street Maintenance. A local.
Yeah, this is it's a publicly bid contract as an option to renew, so we're exercising the option to renew.
Questions, folks? No. Okay, thank you.
You as well, Councilman, and to everyone else here.
Have a good winter.
Steve, you're up.
Okay, we have 10Z50, which is,
That's it. Resolution authorizing the month-to-month extension not to exceed 3 months, effective December 1, 2018, of a contract with Control Services LLC for snow removal, salting, and plowing for the Department of Public Works, Division of Sanitation.
So this is $400,000 extension
this is the
for 3
outside
months.
company that we use in case there's a big snowstorm and our people can't handle it. So far, we haven't used them, but while we're still doing the revisions to the bid spec, we need to continue this in case it snows in the next
It's like a
3
routine,
months.
right, Steve?
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we'd
We
rather
don't use
use
it, we
our
don't spend
own
anything,
workers.
yeah.
Even if we use our own workers on overtime, it's less money than pulling them in. But if we need them, they're available for this.
Right, if we didn't have them and we needed them, they would be off somewhere else and unavailable to us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So this one
This is an insurance policy.
It's only if there's a massive snowstorm, like a foot of snow, and we just don't have vehicles, and it's just.
And we pay by service, right?
Yeah.
So how much we pay them each service then?
That varies depending on the manpower, the hours, the equipment. That's all in the bid that we're working on now to revise. But basically, we haven't used them all this year. So this year we've spent zero.
We don't have to pay.
Right.
Okay. But we just want to know, actually councilperson, good to know is that each time
It's
the
an hourly
snow,
rate.
how much it
It's
costs.
an hourly rate plus equipment rate.
Yeah.
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 What the rate was.
So give us some
We can try and
ballpark.
check the last time they were used. It wasn't this year.
It was,
I don't know if it was last year either.
It was, I forget. Yeah, we'll get that for you.
Yeah.
So this contract won't be rebid until next winter, is that correct?
No, it's being revised now.
Okay, but it will, so we would
It'll go-
potentially switch.
At the end of if we could, in the middle of this winter, so it's what, 3-4 months of this?
This is a 3-month
At the
extension
end of
through
that,
February.
it could
Hopefully
be
we'll have it done by
Okay,
then.
so March would be,
Yeah, you might still have March, even April possible.
okay, is there a reason we didn't call these guys in the November storm?
Not sure.
Good question.
I don't know if there's a reason.
Okay.
No one had a phone that day.
So,
Well, I was gonna ask that same
Brian?
question, but is there like a limit? Like, is there a certain threshold in the contract that says we call them when there's over a certain feet of snow, or?
Have to check on that.
But I guess if we call them, they should come,
Yeah.
regardless of what.
Yeah.
So
We
we
can call
didn't
them
call
tonight,
them.
they just.
Right, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah, they
what we have a
have-
right to call them at any given time.
Yeah,
In
that's
the
what good
contract,
is
they
it?
have a standby rate too. So if you call them, they're guaranteed 4 hours
Right.
of time to get ready and to come.
Okay.
If we don't retain them and we get hit with 2.5 feet of snow,
I know.
they're gonna be busy somewhere else and we're gonna stay buried under 2.5 feet of snow.
So, Steve, can I ask you, how many locations we keep that route salt in citywide?
Well, hold on, if we can finish this contract.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
So let me ask on this contract, just, so as I understand it, we approved this initially for 1 year in November 2016 for a little over $2 million, right?
Yes.
We expended all that money?
No, we spent zero of that money.
Zero.
Right.
And then we
That's
renewed
also-
it in 2017 for another $2 million, spent none of it, you're saying? Or did we spend it that much?
Yeah, I have to check on 2017.
There might have been
I
one
don't
storm.
think
yeah.
so. But we'll have to
You can
check
just give me a
on-
number on that.
Yeah,
that's
we'll
all.
have to check on 2017. Don't
Okay.
know offhand.
That's my only question. Councilman, go
Okay,
ahead.
so how many places we keep the rock salt citywide? One place? or-
Three places.
Three places?
Yeah.
So one is located in the Heights, what area is in the Heights?
The
Okay, one is
nearest
a
one
type,
is under the turnpike.
yeah, 100 Topic, we know that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't think we have any in the Heights because there's no location that we can find.
I thought that the one in downtown supplies the
That's the one,
Heights in
that's the
downtown.
nearest one, would be the one downtown that go to the Heights.
Downtown where?
13.
On Monmouth?
Okay. Steve, what else you got, 60?
Well, I'm here for 60 and 61.
60 and 61.
Since that's the security equipment for the annex. Not really too involved with that in purchasing, but I can try if there's questions on it. The first one is rescinding the low bidder, and the second one is awarding the second bidder.
Can you just, for the record, just say what the reason for the rescission?
Yes, the reason is, in his co-op pricing, he was using a subcontractor for the software. And the protest from the second bidder was that he wasn't eligible to do that. And purchasing found out that that was the case. So they have to reject him and go to the second bidder.
Re-explain that to me, I'm sorry. Yes. Go ahead, John.
There's an additional reason.
Okay, John.
Can you explain all the reasons? Because I didn't catch the first reason.
Okay, sure. The reason that Steve was mentioning is that they're not authorized to sell the Genetec software, which is what we use to control all of our cameras throughout the city. So that was one problem. We couldn't enter into an agreement with them. The other is that we purchased this through the Union County Pricing Cooperative, and we are not currently a member of the Union County Cooperative due to a filing error over in Union County. They're claiming they never got our paperwork. Fulgato has records of sending out the paperwork a while ago, but now we'd have to wait for state approval in order for that to go through, which would take a very long time. So we can't legally award this contract to Johnstead, the ultraviolence.
And as John mentioned, if I could, the Genetec software that I'm talking about is what is required for the security cameras to essentially interface with the public safety system. So without that Genetec software, it would essentially be useless because public safety would have no access to the cameras.
This other company, PSX, does have the Genetec license?
They do, and they're the second lowest.
Okay.
So Council Johnson. Okay.
Okay, piece Z61 is a contract to PSX for the purchase, installation, and implementation of security cameras for the city hall annex.
Literally what we were just talking about in the second lowest.
Any questions?
No.
Oh, that was you. I got you. John, done?
That was me.
Thank you, Joe.
Mark Bunbury. He's only got 6 items. 7. 7 out of 100 ain't bad.
Yeah. That's it.
So we got Z52 to Z56. Where do you want to start?
Z23 and
Z23.
Z49 also, yeah. Let's go to Z23.
Z23.
It's a resolution authorizing the city to award a contract to PayScale, Inc. for compensation consulting services and software.
So, I think Brian made mention of this earlier, spoken with the council on this issue previously as well. Essentially, the city has not updated its labor grades in over 25 years. The labor grades are the basis by which we decide if you are a mechanic, for example, you're a labor grade 5. Labor grade 5 salary range is from $30,000 to $45,000. Essentially, we've been using the same labor grades, again, for 20 years, so they're functionally useless. So we're going to be working with PayScale to create a new compensation structure for us that, to the point of Councilman Rivera and also Director Valenti, will allow us to be able to make decisions about compensation based on market data. So PayScale is a company that collects tons and tons of data about what it is that employers are paying people for certain jobs, and then we're able to get access to that data and say, okay, a mechanic actually should be making between this and this, not whatever we think they should be getting paid. So the goal is to create some structure around how the salaries in the city are set based on market data. And I think it's incredibly important for us as a city, as an organization, as an employer, to be able to start moving in this direction. We know from a legal standpoint, it's something that's necessary. New Jersey just passed, one of the most aggressive wage equity laws in the country. And it's really important that from a compliance standpoint that we get much tighter in our compensation practices. We are in, to me, the most competitive labor market in the country. New York, New Jersey, New York City, this area is incredibly competitive. And if we want to retain the talent that we need to retain, mechanics, skill trade, professional trades, whatever you want to have it, it's really important that the city is able to set salaries based on what the market is paying people. So we worked with three different countries, elevator inspectors, for example. So we worked with three different companies, PayScale, Salary.com, and also Mosteller and Associates. Each of them gave us different bids. Mosteller came in between 42 and 55 to help us create this new structure. Salary.com came in at 55, and then PayScale came in at about 34,000, which is about 17 under budget from what we had asked the council for. So we are looking to award the contract to PayScale. They work with other public sector entities. They work with large companies like ADP, the New York Times, Verizon, and they will be able to, I think, create a very effective compensation structure for us. So PayScale is the company that we'd like to go with.
Have they experience with government?
Yes, so they work with the city of Albany, for example, as well. And so they understand, there are some unique challenges to our environment and also our jobs. Not every job in the public sector has a parallel in the private sector, but many of our jobs do. We have architects, we have lawyers, we have mechanics, we have plenty of things that exist in the private sector. And for those jobs that are unique to us, what we have to do is then basically pare those jobs down to functions and say, okay, these are the principal functions of this job. All right, let's look in the private sector market and see kind of what that sort of job would pay, and then use that information to make a decision about what we want to pay that job internally in the city.
Councilpersons? Councilperson Warner, been pushing for this for a long time.
I'm pretty sure.
I know.
She's pushed for this for
I
5
sure
years.
did. For 5 years it took this.
Many years.
Government.
The finally we're going to see something your effort is glad that. But let me ask you this way.
Yeah.
I'm going to add to this one. So you're talking about the market pays and so on, but even our council aid, we pay $15,000 as a salary.
Yep.
You know that we violating federal guideline, federal law. By the federal law, when you call the salary, you gotta pay minimum at least $25,000, approximately. But because of a state statute, they say council aid only $15,000 as salary. So did you challenge the state of New Jersey that whatever community affair department, anything like that? I see that your email, just you gave to us what they say. But as HR director, you should challenge that. We follow the state guideline, but we violating federal law. Something you should be more positively act for what they answer, but I didn't see till today I didn't see you take any action to challenge to the state.
So one thing, so I will let the law department jump in on that issue as well, but there are exceptions to the minimum wage, and I think ultimately there are some positions that are not, under federal law, you're allowed to take them out of the normal minimum wage standard, number one.
So when you say some, can't you tell me what is the sum? So our aid is belong to the sum?
I mean, we could if you want us to.
Can't you give us some definition?
I agree with you 1,000%.
We agree with you,
right?
but I
So-
think this is a different topic, because the law department need to jump in here and tell us what we could do with our aids, because you know we've been fighting for our aids.
I think part of the issue may be whether, and I think my recollection is that the Faulkner Act is silent as to whether the council aid position is considered a full-time position or not. If it is silent as to that, then the position of the state may be that it's deemed a part-time position. And that would obviously impact how much could be paid. Now, I think you all know that your aides, in all likelihood, put in close to, I would say, close to or at a 40-hour-a-week schedule. And if it comes down to tracking that as a possible way to present that argument to the state, then that might be something that could be done.
But doesn't, I don't know if we want to dig too much into this at the moment, but the Faulkner Act is very clear that the council sets the salary of council aides via ordinance. We pass an ordinance increasing the salary that is duly signed by the mayor. I'm not aware of any nullification power that anyone else holds to prevent that from happening. And so
it's separate statute.
Correct.
It's one of the peculiar ones set by statute.
But we specifically included in the ordinance that was passed that we believe that Jersey City clears the threshold in the statute of the 270K population, because the most recent census estimate puts us above that. So that's our,
I think the key word was estimate.
Yeah, but this is we have made a determination of the governing body, the city council. The mayor signed this ordinance; he did not veto it, right? Who nullifies that? Who says that's not allowed?
This is what's going on over a month and a half. What happened to this?
So now,
They should
Council
have-
President, you
it's
explained
been
to
on
us
for a long time.
where we stand.
It has not been approved.
Not approved by who?
Through status forms, right? So we initially put in, is that correct, right? We put in status form requests to increase salaries for council aides. They didn't get approved, and they were held. I'm not looking down.
Not approved by who?
Not approved by who?
This is sort of.
Mayor, I never heard that the mayor vetoes our bill.
If he vetoed it, then let's override it.
It's not vetoed as an ordinance.
Then
It's
what
status
is it?
form, it's an administrative.
But there's nothing in the Faulkner Act that mentions
Correct.
status forms. The
Yeah.
Faulkner Act is very clear about where the council sets its powers, and
Council's looking to the law department to say what's our alternatives here.
The state, however, the state law would supersede any act of the city to, as you said, the explanation that was proffered by the city was that the population estimate had surpassed what was set forth.
the state has never received that explanation.
Correct.
And so, I mean, I think my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong,
Which explanation?
of this issue of the population growth, right? So I think I think for me at least, I'm just going to state my opinion, and then we can have longer conversations in maybe January if nothing moves. But my view is we have a duly passed ordinance. It's the obligation of the administration to execute that ordinance as passed. And if the state stops us, not via email, but via law, right? They can come in and say legally you're not allowed to do this. They have not done that. And I'm not aware of any legal theory that allows the administration to nullify an ordinance based on an email exchange.
Just to clarify the facts, the ordinance was drafted and written by the administration, right? And introduced with that explanation. So the administration and the law department drafted that, not the city council didn't do it. So with the explanation and justification as to why, along with that as well, all that on the table. And so that justification was put in place. It was then amended and passed, that ordinance, but amended, but the essential piece of the council aids remained intact. That was passed as it was, establishing the salary at $32,700. It was passed and then signed into law. And it hasn't been enacted as as of yet. So, and so, in the interest of just processing things and getting it done, because I had a council aide and other people had council aides too to get hired, we changed our status forms to a lesser amount in order to get them on the payroll and get them their health benefits and things like that.
But not only the council, but I'm going to add to do that. Let's say the way that our corporation council say that state statute, control that our whatever that the city ordinance, fine. But I'm going to ask you then, as a business administrator, what kind of effort do you put in to state, to lobby, to change the state statutes?
Do we have any questions for Mark? We can let him go, I guess.
Mark, you can go home. We don't need you.
There's several other items.
You know what it is? Let him finish up his thing. Because we holding him now. He got more. Yeah.
So, what is it?
Okay, Mark's going to complete what he's got.
Let him complete.
Our opinions are clear, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah, why can't someone, a legislator from Jersey City, bring this down to Trenton and get it done?
Z49, he has Z49.
There's always other options.
Right.
That's a good idea.
What's that?
There are always options.
Yep.
Yeah, well,
I like having many irons and many fires.
if it's a statute, have them raise it. It hasn't been moved in 20 years.
But we just hope everybody's fighting for the same cause. That's all.
That's right. It's well said.
Okay, where are we going to next, Mark?
Z49.
Z49, let me get there.
It's authorizing the extension of a contract with CarePoint Health Medical Group for professional services of physicians to conduct medical examinations of civilians and uniformed employees and of applicants for employment for an additional 3 months, commencing January 1st, ending March 31st.
Yeah. This one we pay by person or we pay by contract dollars as of $208,000, doesn't matter how many. So people who physical test or not. How we pay? A medical examination. We pay by person?
Exactly.
How much we pay per person?
I have to pull the exact number of what it is. I mean, they already have been awarded this contract throughout 2018, but we just want a little bit more time to review. We did go out to bid for the 2019 term. We should expect to be able to award the contract for the 2019 year probably by February. I think we're going until March just to make sure I have enough time.
So we're gonna be when you
bids
cut the
already
bid.
out and
Yeah, so we actually put the bid out in October, November, but we got responses back, but there was a bit of a lack of specificity in what we requested, the number of physicals that we requested, for example. So we are reposting it to BidSync with more exact numbers about what we need in terms of the number of physicals we expect to have for next year, and we expect to be able to get those responses back pretty quickly. So we think we'll be able to award it.
And you're the one do that all the prepare the bids and so on.
Exactly.
But you don't even know how much per person.
It depends on who it is. So for police and fire,
Yeah.
and that also depends on the contract. Like each person responds differently in terms of how much they charge us for like a police physical. So CarePoint, for example, I think charges $575 per police physical. Medical Center, for example, might charge $1,000 per police physical. So it just depends on the type of hire, the age of the hire, if they're civilian or if they're uniformed.
Is that right? And the physical, I mean, I'm going to just make sure that medical examination is medical examination.
Correct.
It cannot be different by female, male, or old, young.
Well, it's not based on female or male. It's based on, when I say age, right, exactly. So, for example, someone who is under 40, they don't do an EKG for. But someone who's over 40, they may do an EKG for.
Yeah,
so it depends on what they, as the medical provider, believe is.
Yeah, but a heart problem cannot happen at any ages.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand.
Did you have something else? Councilman Rivera?
Isn't this Dr. Boyle?
Folks.
A routine medical visit will change based on the patient that's being seen right there. So if they take a blood pressure check and they feel something's wrong, then they might just do an EKG to see if there's a problem. But do you have a list of what CarePoint does routinely for a patient? Because that's like blood work, is it blood work, wellness visit, and that's it, or, because that's good to know. Because my question to you is CarePoint, are they just doing wellness visits as physicals? Are they also part of keeping patients out for, let's say, disability, extended,
Yeah.
Do they do all of that?
So they also do workers' comp.
Workers'
Our
comp.
office doesn't oversee the workers' comp piece of what they do. We only use them, currently we use them for new employee physicals, or if there are medical issues with an employee, someone, if you think they might not be fit for duty, for example, we would send them to CarePoint. So we don't do the workers' comp piece, but we do sort of anything related to like the employee at work and any issues related to that.
And would you know what the follow-up then would be? I mean, strike that, you don't know because that's patient confidentiality, but I would like to know what the turnaround time is for paid for, workers, especially police and fire, that get put out on workman's comp, and, they might have an infinite time to come back, and that's a problem.
Yeah, and again, I think that's definitely a question we're happy to talk about with risk management. Risk management oversees that piece of the contract, and I think there definitely is better room for HR to work with risk management on better managing some of those absences that as a result of CarePoint recommendations or whatever medical provider.
So Mark, the reason I'm asking you that, CarePoint is a profit organization, and one of the expensive, the hospital provide the medical service in this area. And also, the last week I went to one of the doctor's office grand opening. They have like probably 12 different medical examination room. If those kind of services we can integrate the big major company, the local doctor's office can handle that medical examination, certain level of that, you know what I'm saying? So that's why I'm asking you, you should be putting your effort a little bit more to help that their local group doctor's office to get some business, especially medical examination, simple one, you know what I'm saying? Instead of go hospital to hospital.
I don't always agree with Councilman Yu, but he's right.
Yeah, and I think obviously in the bid process, anyone's welcome to bid on the contract. I think the most important thing for me on the HR side is making sure they're able to handle the flow of people that we put through their office. We've had issues when we hire a police class, for example, we have to get 40 guys through, and then we need to make sure that our office can handle, quickly processing 40 guys. We don't want to have situations where we're working with a very small office and the doctor's out that day, and then, we have to delay people getting processed. So I just
Mark, you're wrong already. Instead to go to one place of 40, the candidate that go to exam, medical exam, you can divide by area. This is the 3 different places available. Whatever nearest place you can do medical examination. Why not, right?
What do you say?
No, you can find alternative, like different options, multiple options, just like we did with the.
So it helps the local doctor's office, but also the people as a convenience to people.
Yeah.
Instead of give it big business instead of one hospital. So can't you look in that matter? Because when I was grand opening West Side Avenue, beautiful place. They have like how many? 10 doctors working.
It's an urgent care facility.
Yeah, those kind of places should be handled at the medical examination. Give some state dollars and local.
Yeah, so, I'm happy to let the council know when it's reposted on BidSync, and
please,
if you would like to.
Thank you, Mark.
Of course, that'll work.
Okay. Oh, wait, when is it reposted already or not yet?
Not yet, probably the next couple weeks. Yeah. Next is Z52.
Z52 is a resolution authorizing an agreement between the City of Jersey City and Horizon Dental Choice for a period of 1 year, January 1, 2019 through December 31st, 2019, to provide a closed dental insurance plan for eligible city employees as extraordinary unspecifiable services.
So I'm gonna, 52 and 53 are the same thing, so I'm just gonna talk about them together. The main difference, when you hear the closed dental plan versus the open dental plan, that means the open dental plan is more expensive. You have the right as an employee to sort of choose from a much larger list of dentists. It's less restricted. The closed dental plan, conversely, is more restricted. There's basically a list of 8 dentists you can go to, and so it's a cheaper plan, but you're more restricted in your choices. So we did put this out to bid in October, November. We only received 2 responses back. One from Horizon, who is our current provider, the other from Delta Dental. Delta Dental did come in at about a little under 200,000 less than Horizon. Horizon came in at 2.9, Delta Dental came in at 2.7. But I think the main consideration that we always look at as well is, yes, it's a little cheaper with Delta, but there's a huge change that has to happen with not only all of our employees, but all of our retirees as well. We have to switch everyone over to the new plan, and our broker also advised us that there are some different things with the plan that Delta provides that they just didn't think it was wise because this contract is being awarded for January 1. So they did recommend that we go with Horizon at least for another year. There is a 2-year or 2 different 1-year extensions in the contract, but again, we can go with Horizon for another year and assess the decision if we want to go with Delta or another company that's a little more affordable. We could do that, but because it was only a $200,000 difference overall in the entire cost of the dental plan, which is roughly $3 million, we thought it was best to remain with Horizon, who's our current provider right now.
So, Mike.
So the recommendation came from the broker?
Yes.
Do we get that in writing?
Yes.
So now, Horizon is $74.93, and the Delta is $61.60. You know how much percent different? The 18% is price different.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You talk about almost $160,000 different.
Yeah.
And if we, I see that the municipal government, they use a dental. And we know that dental is cheaper than Blue Cross, but then while we wait till last minute, why don't we take action a little earlier? So we got enough time to change to A to B, Blue Cross to dental, a dental, the Delta. Why we not take up all those things?
I think that's completely fair. And I definitely will make sure, working with our health benefits team, that we get the RFP out earlier next year. I think I'm only trying to make the best decision in terms of the workforce, but I hear you. I think it's completely fair that there is a fair difference in price between.
So now, let me ask this one. We pay broker fee. How we pay broker fee? By fixed price? Well, we pay broker fee based on premium what we pay.
It's fixed price.
How much we pay?
It used to be premium based, but it's just, or percentage based, but now it's just fixed.
So how much we pay for the fixed fee?
That information I don't have handy, because that's not, their contract is not up for renewal, so I don't have that. I can provide it to you, yeah, I can provide it to you.
Okay, please, so I'd like to know, we pay broker fee, how much we pay broker fee, and also I'd like to know, closed dental insurance and the other is open dental insurance. So which is better? Open dental insurance is better?
Well, it depends on the person. I think you have more options and more choices with the open plan.
Okay, then
the closed plan is cheaper, but you can only go to a list of like 8 dentists, for example.
But you know how much different when you see that? Closed dental plan is $74.93, and the open is $75.41. It's like maybe 50 cents different.
Are you looking at Delta or are you looking at Horizon?
No, Horizon.
Okay.
You know what is the difference? It's not the difference, 50 cents per month. And if you pay 50 cents per more, then you got more choice. You can choose the doctor you like it.
Yeah, I'm not sure that that's correct.
Look here. Maybe you give me the wrong information here. So look at it. If we see that Z52, so Horizon has a closed dental plan, $74.93. And if you go open dental plan, Horizon Healthcare Dental Service, $75.45. It's like 50 cents different per month.
Is that for single coverage you're talking about?
No, it doesn't matter single coverage or not. That's why you gave us information.
Right, but I'm saying it does depend on what kind of coverage you select though, because it should be, I mean, from what I've reviewed, there should be a much more substantial difference than that.
But why is it not much different here?
Are you looking at the RFP responses?
Yeah, no, here, you give it to me.
Monthly premium.
Premium.
You look at the monthly premium, the one-year rate.
I think I'm going home.
I need a paper bag, James.
I just want to wait to see. One issue.
I mean, if it's like a 50 cents different, then we should be considered the open dental plan as a #1 choice for the city employee.
Right, if it's that much of a,
Yeah.
that much of a difference.
And then we're willing to pay 80% more for the premium, but if we afraid to spend extra 50 cents more to better coverage and the better choice for the doctors.
You may even get a better rate if you
Right,
have the majority of the.
but that's not, these are both comparisons from Horizon and Delta for the closed plan. It's not one is closed and one is open. You know what I'm saying? Like these are comparisons of the same plan.
Same plan?
Of the same plan, right?
Yeah,
So
but
it's-
then we have to change the title of the ordinance.
Okay.
One says open, the other one is closed.
The ordinance is different paper.
Okay.
Then usually say the close to close, but you cannot say the close to close. Already we compare the between
No, but it
open.
says open here.
Yeah. The-
But those are, what I'm saying is, that's one bid from, that's the amount from Horizon, and the other one is the amount from Delta for offering that specific plan. Is that what you're looking at? That's what
Yeah,
I'm-
I need a paper. I mean, very simple that I don't know.
Okay.
I only base on what the paper you provide.
Okay.
One is open.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
his point, yeah. One is open, one is closed.
So
The rates are
I
not-
want you answer from you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Where are we?
We still on 52 and 53.
Question.
Yeah.
Do we always kind of just put it out for 1 year, or is it a process, given the difficulties in switching, that we
Yes.
would consider putting out for longer terms?
So we do it for 1 year, then there's two 1-year options to renew.
Okay.
So that's usually how it's been done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, would you think about doing it for a longer period of term, just to?
Yeah, I'm open to it. I don't know if we can, I thought there was some, I think there's an issue with doing extraordinary unspecifiable services in
Longer
the
than
10 years, but
Okay.
I'm open to whatever we
It
do.
just feels like it's tough to switch plans,
Correct, it takes a
but
long
if you
time
have a
to
big
process
savings,
it.
if they're gonna switch, say you're switching for 5 years,
Right.
because there are real savings, and that's why you go through this, the disruption.
Okay, no, I'm
Agreed.
I'm-
I don't know
Very
the
open.
purchasing, kind of details there.
And
you
these
know what?
situations, do like, if a company is coming in as a new company, do they ever do anything like, some sort of changing over kind of?
Yeah, there's a very long process involved
Relocation
with,
expenses?
something like that. There's a very long process involved with, we have to register all our employees in their system, there has to be notices given out to the employees that we're changing plans, new cards issued, and not just to, again, the employees, but also the retirees, so, there's a lot to consider when we choose to switch, but of course, if the financial incentive is high enough for the city, then of course, I'm 100% on board with
Mom?
doing it.
When they switch, there are a lot of work involved. If we want to try to taxpayer dollars without a lot of work, then you think you gotta change your mind, okay? So in order to save taxpayer dollars, yes, a lot of work involved. And another one, broker actually explained to us in the paper, they recommend us Blue Cross dental plan and the open and close because they say, what was the name of the card? A Delta premium can be increased. But when I see since 2013, Delta dental plan always cheaper than Blue Cross Blue Shield till 6 years. So that the way broker recommend to us, I have a question really. Every time I ask why we have to go Blue Cross, why we not go Delta because the premium is cheaper. He always say that, because Blue Cross promised us so much, the fixed price, they guarantee 2-3 years. But every year when we get the paper, always Delta is cheaper than Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Yeah.
So you better looking for new broker first.
So we actually just, so Brown and Brown is a new broker. So we
Okay,
have
Brown and
different-
Brown.
Right, Brown and Brown
Okay.
is the new dental broker. They actually just came on last year. We had a different broker before that. So, I mean, I hear what you're saying 100%, it's fair. And I don't have any allegiance to Blue Cross Blue Shield or Delta. I'm
I know
very
that.
agnostic about the whole thing, so I'm more than open. I think part of the issue here that the broker is considering is, okay, we're awarding a contract for January, it's December, it's gonna be really hectic. So I'm willing to commit that next year when we do this again, that we do this earlier, so that if we do need to switch, there's enough time for us to do that.
Thank you very much. In other words, I like you prepare.
Councilman Rivera.
I mean, you should let the broker know why doesn't he match Delta Dental's prices, only because Delta Dental, a lot of the dentists love Delta Dental because they pay on time as opposed to, because
So next year, when we talk about the dental plan, any health program, don't come to this council, oh, we got not enough time to change, switch. We don't need the excuse, okay?
Okay.
I agree. Thank you.
So you'll provide us the broker's memo or something?
Yes, I can provide that.
Explanation? Okay, Z54, this is the renewal of an agreement between Jersey City and the Rising Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey to administer the city's self-funded health plan as an extraordinary and specified service.
So we have an option to renew the contract for one more year with Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield with regard to our health benefits plan. The city is, we're recommending that we exercise that option and renew the plan for another year.
Yes, this one is also same way. I'd like to ask that we pay broker fee by flat. So I'd like to know how much we pay and the name of the broker, okay?
Yep. The broker is Acrosure.
And also,
I just got a Christmas card from
2015, since from the 2016, we have a self-insurance for the health plan.
Yes.
And the state plan was a state plan higher than ours.
Yeah.
So we go down, but seems like the price almost close each other, ourselves and the state plan. Can't you compare us that how much it costs is our plan
Yes.
and the state plan? Because as I know, almost price is same.
Yeah, so that is something that they're always regularly doing. So they always come to us and say, this is where the state health benefits plan rates are, this is where we are, what does the city want to do? So I'm certainly happy to follow up with them and make sure that we can get an update on where that is and if the equation is starting to go a different way.
And if we use the state plan, we don't have to probably commission for them. So we maybe not saved the dollars from the premium wise, but maybe we have saved a big chunk of dollar commission wise. Okay, so can you look at that?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. C55 is an extension of an extraordinary and specifiable services agreement between the city and Express Scripts for a period of 3 months from January to March to continue to provide our prescription drug plan. So we issued the RFP for our prescription drug plan also in October. We are currently working through the RFP responses. Acrosure is also our broker when it comes to the prescription benefits as well. What they're doing right now is pouring through the RFP responses and also working with, I don't know if the council may recall this, but we awarded a contract to a company called Remedy Analytics to do the prescription audit, to look at everything. So they're working with Remedy right now and looking through all the contract, all the responses to the RFP to make sure that they're able to negotiate, what's the best contract for the city. So we expect, to be able to award the contract before March, but we're just getting a 3-month extension so we have enough time.
And Mark, one thing I give to you did a great job because business solutions you were there. Because when he hired the consulting company and you and the Brian also to auditing the workers' comp, and we say over the 2 years we save almost close to $3 million. I think you guys deserve to get some raise. Good job. I know when you say the $3 million taxpayer dollars,
August.
you deserve that. And good job for that. I'm going to give you credit for that. Okay.
Appreciate that.
So Brian Platt and the Mark. Hit the good one.
Just the two of us.
That's fine.
I don't know, actually, your teamwork, you know.
Okay, Z56. This is a resolution for awarding a contract to Sun Life Insurance Company to provide stopgap insurance for employees and retirees. Really quickly, just so people understand, stopgap insurance essentially comes in when any employee, in terms of the number of claims they file with city medical claims, goes over $250,000 in a year. Stop loss insurance comes in to cover us for any additional claims that they might file that year over $250,000.
So now, 250,000, do they have a maximum cap?
Yeah, so
how much is the
so
maximum?
the maximum is 400,000. It's kind of there's two different pieces to this. So over 250,000,
We cover.
Right, so we pay everything up to 250.
Yes.
After 250, the stop loss insurance comes in. Usually caps out at about $1 million.
$1 million.
$1 million, it will come back to us.
Okay.
Then also, on top of that, for specific people, there's an aggregate insurance that we get. So if, for example, our claims go over $135 million, stop loss insurance comes in to cover us for any additional claims that might come in over that $135 million. So it's kind of by the person, but also aggregate all the claims the city may get in a year.
So just I want to make sure that, no, I'm not going to name any persons, council members, city employee ABC, his medical bill come out more than $250,000.
Yep.
Then this company, Sun Life Assurance Company, cover up to $1 million.
Exactly.
It's 100% or
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
If his medical bill over $1 million, then
That comes back to us.
they come back to the city,
Yes.
and the city cover to how much? $2 million?
So whatever it has to cover.
What does it cover?
So it's self-insured, so
It's not hard to get to $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there are not a lot of claimants in our plan that get that high. The number's actually very low. There's probably under 20 people that ever get that high, but there are enough.
So how many, we have a claim more than $250,000? Because we pay premium $3.3 million. We just want to make sure that.
There's a return on the investment.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how many people come up bill more than $250,000?
Based on that 20, it's 15 million saved.
Right.
I'm sorry?
Based on the 20 people he mentioned, it's 15 million saved.
Right, so it depends, I mean, I can get them to do an analysis of like, let's say last year, you know, what were the total claims for those 20 people? Maybe it would have been, you know, $25 million, $20 million, and we had to pay $2 million, whatever the case may be. So I'm happy to get that information from them and provide it to the.
So the $3.3 million claim what we pay is well paid?
It's well paid, yeah.
Good.
Yes.
That's what I will know.
Yes, very much so.
I don't need any additional information.
Okay.
Yeah, but as long as we, okay?
Yes.
All right.
And Sun Life was the only respondent, so. Okay.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay.
That was it, What's the other day?
So, gentlemen, left, I guess?
What are we gonna do now?
What are you here for?
What's that?
All right, let's start over from the beginning.
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah, take your
Tom.
time.
Wait. Are you changing battery, Caesar?
Top is actually long this time.
30 minutes? Why don't you put it in while you're up?
Yeah.
Pop it in while you're up.
Take a break.
No, don't go running. He's gonna be back